It's a special day for many reasons at Alumni Stadium on the beautiful campus of Boston College. It's the Red Bandana game as Doug Flutie and Eagles everywhere honor an American hero, Wells Crowther. And it's the renewal of the Holy War with Notre Dame. It's a homecoming for Boston area native Brian Kelly. His Irish arrived number 2 in the country after an epic win 1 week ago against top-ranked Clemson.
Number 1 undefeated Clemson visits number 4 undefeated Notre Dame.
Gives to Williams on the left side, running down the 40 on the near sideline. It's a foot race, touchdown. Hands off to Kyron Williams, right up the middle, touchdown Notre Dame.
Thinks that he's in trouble. He is set.
Game over. Notre Dame knocks off number 1.
And welcome everyone to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. It's the 26th meeting all time between the only 2 Catholic institutions that play FBS football, Notre Dame and Boston College. You're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5. And this is the ACC on ESPN. Notre Dame now alone atop the ACC. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Sean McDonough along with Todd Blackledge. Delighted to have you with us. We'll be joined in just a moment by Todd McShay and Molly McGrath. Todd, that was one of the great wins in the history of the Notre Dame program, and they've had scads of them. But for Ian Book, it was the kind of performance, the kind of win that changes a legacy.
Well, we know he's a winner, right? He's 27-3 as a starting quarterback, but he's never won a bigger game or played better than he did in that thrilling win over Clemson. He threw for over 300, ran for another 67, but it was his resiliency in the game that I was most impressed with. He had to overcome a huge mistake. With the game tied late in the third quarter, he thought he was going to score, fumbles into the end zone. Clemson would take the lead, but then with under 2 minutes left, he leads his team on a 91-yard scoring drive, that 53-yarder, the huge play. And then in second overtime, after a negative yardage play on first down, he scrambles, shows his athleticism, sets up what would be the winning touchdown for Ian Book, a game he will never forget in his life. And when we talked to him, Sean, he said he thinks their offense and their passing game in particular is really starting to hit its stride.
It was a huge win. They need to put that in the past and focus on a very good Boston College team. Their quarterback is Phil Jakovic, who spent the last 2 seasons at Notre Dame playing behind Ian Book. And as we welcome in Todd McShay down on the field, Todd, he's been an instant impact player here for Jeff Hafley and the Eagles.
Absolutely. Talking to Brian Kelly, he was saying the thing that's really concerning is the fact that he creates plays by extending and making throws outside the pocket. We've got to contain him. The thing that I love about him, though, watching tape, is how tough he is. He will hang in there. He will stare down that gun barrel, and he doesn't care if he's going to take a shot. He's going to wait for his receiver to get open and buy as much time as he can. You can see there. He loves it. He's a Pittsburgh guy, and he is really he's infectious. The way he plays, the toughness, the aggressiveness, and he gives BC a shot in any game that they're playing.
Wearing special uniforms today are the Eagles on this red bandana game day. When we come back, BC grad Molly McGrath will tell you much more about this wonderful tradition in memory of a truly great man.
Back here in Chestnut Hill, where Boston College Captain Max Richardson told me this is the most important game of the year. Not because it's the Holy War or because Notre Dame is ranked, but because this is the Red Bandana game, honoring former BC student athlete and 9/11 hero Wells Crowther. Wells' story is so ingrained here in the culture here at BC that at freshman orientation, all incoming students are told the story of Crowther's heroics, and they're given a red bandana like this one to symbolize the bandana that Crowther wore when he lost his life, saving as many as 18 people on September 11th.
We saw a young man come out of nowhere. You heard this man's voice say, "I found the stairs. Follow me." And we just got up, we follow. He said, "I'm going back up. There's a lot of people up there on the 78th floor that needed help."
The minute I saw the reference to the red kerchief, I went, "Oh my God, Wells, I found you." Finally found him, and for them too, that they would know who this man was.
Now, Allison Crowther told me that from childhood, the one word to describe Wells was fearless, and she's hoping that this Boston College team embodies his courage today. And BC head coach Jeff Hafley told me that his team has a different look in their eyes this week, and they're going to be playing with a belief and courage that they can accomplish something perhaps bigger than themselves, Sean.
It truly is an amazing story. You heard Allison Crowther say before she read that article, she didn't know how her son had lost his life. She didn't know what a hero he was, how many lives he helped save. And we're sorry that her husband, Jeff Crowther, can't be with us here today. You and I have done this game a couple of times. Mr. Crowther died of cancer last year. Allison can't be here because of the restrictions. There's no crowd due to COVID, but the Crowther family very much in our hearts again today.
Yeah, and you know, Molly really hit it, because these players, you know, all players like to wear fancy new uniforms, but it's so much more than the uniforms for these guys. I mean, it is a very, very important opportunity to represent one of their own in a very special way.
Boston College won the toss and deferred, so Notre Dame elected to receive. Danny Longman will kick off. Chris Tyree, the freshman, back deep for Notre Dame. And the Holy War is underway. Once again, Tyree thought about coming out from about 4 yards deep and thought better of it. So here is Ian Book off the performance of his career against Clemson. His 8th career 300-plus passing game. And as Todd mentioned, so many big plays with his feet in crucial situations. He atoned for the fumble late in the third quarter, leading him to a Braddock come-from-behind win and improved to 27-3 all-time as the starter at Notre Dame. Brian Kelly said early in the year to us when we had the Pittsburgh game, he's a winner. When the game's on the line, he makes big plays, and boy, did he demonstrate that again.
Yeah, he was brilliant last week, and he got knocked around, too. It was not an easy game for him. I mean, Clemson has an outstanding defense.
Graduate student from El Dorado Hills, California, just outside Sacramento. On target on his first throw to Javon McKinley, another hero of that Clemson win, with 5 catches for 102 yards. Big targets for Ian Book.
Yes. Wide receivers and tight ends, all big bodies. They throw differently to guys like that.
On the ground with Kyron Williams. Tommy Reese, the offensive coordinator, says he's the tone setter. He can do it all from the running back position, and that was on display against the Tigers last Saturday.
Yeah, brilliant game for him as well. 140 yards and 3 touchdowns against a rushing defense that had only given up 3 in the whole season.
He carried for a first down to the 39. Book on the design roll on target to Ben Skoranek, the transfer from Northwestern, swung down by Elijah Jones.
You know, the thing about Kyron Williams, too, I think that we're seeing more and more, the more we see him play, is not only is he a great runner, but he's an outstanding receiver out of the backfield, and his pass protection, his ability to do that is what is making him so special right now as a complete back.
And at 5'9", 195 pounds, too.
Williams, another nifty run, and he has a first down into BC territory to the 43-yard line.
Well, everything starts with this big, experienced offensive line. They play with a lot of 2 or 3 tight ends. You see the tight end, Tommy Tremble, number 24. He loves the contact, loves the block. When you watch him, you're going to find out where the ball is going most of the time with this Notre Dame run game.
It was a 12-yard gain. 2 carries already 18 yards for Kyron Williams. Also an excellent pass receiver. Here's Michael Mayer, the terrific freshman tight end, and he's out of bounds with another Notre Dame first down at the 31. Isaiah McDuffie, the linebacker, made the tackle after Max Richardson whiffed.
One of the things that makes Notre Dame so difficult to defend, so that was what we call 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. You think just power run, short yardage, but they throw the football so well out of that formation because those guys are versatile enough to line up in a lot of different formations.
They have enough to play with more than 3 tight ends if they want to. 5 tight ends have caught a pass this year for the Irish. Nice catch by McKinley, They're not going to give him forward progress. He's out of bounds short of the line to make by about a half yard, shoved out by Elijah Jones.
Here's what we were talking about with Kyron Williams. We know he can run, we know he can catch, but to play at the next level, you got to be able to do that too. And Max Richardson and Isaiah McDuffie, those two inside linebackers, are great pass rushers, and that's how you do your job.
As you and Todd McShay were talking about, of all the things that impressed me about Kyron Williams last week, it was the blitz pickups. Because he didn't just pick them up, he did what he just did there. He upended people trying to get to Ian Book. Ian Book keeps. Only Tony Rice has run for more yards as a Notre Dame quarterback than Ian Book.
Just love these tight ends. I mean, all three of them. Tommy Tremble, number 24, Michael Mayer, the freshman, 87, and then Brock Wright. He doesn't get talked about nearly as much, number 89, but also just an effective part of what they do offensively.
Book ran for the first down, the 5-yard gain. Chris Tyree down to the 13-yard line. Very impressive opening drive by Notre Dame. No sign of a hangover. Brian Kelly told his team, if you left it all on the field against Clemson, you won't beat Boston College. You need to refocus and be ready to go, and it looks like they are.
Well, he said they were a little bit tired, understandably, on Tuesday. Wednesday, they had the right intent and the attitude, still a little fatigued. But he said Thursday was the best practice they've had all season, and he felt really good about their preparation.
Nice opening drive, 4 minutes long now. 2nd and 6 from the 13. And that pass in the general direction of Michael Mayer. Brian Kelly said, and Tommy Reese as well, said Thursday was their best Thursday practice of the year. I don't know if Tommy Reese will like this nugget. Ian Book with 35 yards passing now has moved past Tommy Reese on the all-time passing yardage list at Notre Dame into 3rd place.
Well, those two have such an incredible relationship. It's such a unique situation. A guy that young being a coordinator, but also having played the position at the same school, under the same pressures that Ian Book has had to encourage.
Behind is Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen under pressure, and there's a flag down. Ball thrown in the direction of Tommy Tremble.
I think Deion Jones is going to get caught with a pass interference or a hold.
Holding defense number 5. Half the distance to the goal includes an automatic first down.
It was Tommy Tremble was the intended receiver right in the middle of the field. Again, you take these tight ends, but you can spread them out like wide receiver. Well, that's a mismatch going against the safety. That big body, a clear hold by the safety, Deion Jones, an easy call to make. Notre Dame with a first down inside the 10-yard line.
And 87, Michael Mayer just checked back in. He's one of the most impressive true freshmen in the country.
Brian Kelly says he's the best true freshman tight end he's ever had, and he's had a number of tremendous tight ends. No gain there for Kyron Williams, tripped up by Max Roberts, a grad transfer from the University of Maine. Jeff Hafley and his staff did a really good job when they got this DC job in December of going into the transfer portal. Some key players, particularly on defense. Hafley in his first year at Boston College, defensive coordinator at Ohio State a year ago. And what a huge difference, not just in the on-field play, but in the entire atmosphere around this program. Very positive, upbeat guy. Book couldn't find anybody open. Bought the extra time, now runs out of it and gets shoved out of bounds near the 5. Isaiah McDuffie there. He has terrific speed. He has 71 tackles for the year. Max Richardson next to him at linebacker, 79. The next on the team has 32. They make all of the tackles for Boston College.
Everything kind of runs to them and through them. And that time you saw the speed of McDuffie because Ian Book's athletic and can run, and McDuffie forced him out of bounds.
They are 2 of the 3 tackle leaders in the country. Richardson, number 1 in America, 79 tackles entering today. 3rd and goal Irish from the 5. Book throws, and behind his intended receiver, went between Mayer and McKinley, but there is a flag down.
I think this was offensive pass interference actually on Michael Mayer. We'll see how this goes. Yep, he pushed off with his left hand as he was breaking out, I think BC will probably decline and force a field goal attempt here, which would end up being a very good stop after an impressive drive by the Irish. Watch Mayer here as he pushes off with his left hand as he breaks out. It was on Deion Jones, who got called for the hold a couple plays ago, and that's a good call as well.
He's so big and strong. Does he really need to do that?
I don't think so. Again, with big-bodied receivers like this, I mean, you can just let them kind of box out like basketball and throw the ball in their general area. That's a different way to throw for Ian Book with these tight ends and wideouts.
They'll settle for a field goal. That's been a bit of an ongoing issue for the Irish when they get in goal-to-go situations. Jonathan Dorr kicked 4 field goals last week, another one of the heroes of that win over Clemson. And he's good with his first kick today from 23 yards. We'll see Phil Jurkovec against his former teammates. A lot of friends on that other sideline when we come back. View from the AT&T 5G Skycam here at Alumni Stadium, just outside downtown Boston, a couple miles to the west. BC will get the ball for the first time. Travis Levy back deep for the kickoff. Jonathan Dorr, 23-yard field goal, is the first score of this game. 50 degrees at kickoff, very little wind. The line drive scooped up by Levy. He's spun around and knocked out of bounds near the 20. Wonder what's going through the mind of Phil Jurkovec. Spent the last 2 seasons at Notre Dame, very highly recruited out of Pine Richland High School in the Pittsburgh area. Couldn't get on the field behind Ian Book. Transferred to Boston College in January. He is leading the ACC in total yards passing and is 6th in the country. And like Ian Book, he's a guy who can make plays running with the ball. Weird week for him. He keeps in touch with several friends back at Notre Dame. This week had to shut that down a little bit. They know him, he knows them. He's on target. It's Zay Flowers, terrific wide receiver. And it's a first down out to the 35-yard line.
You know, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks that have transferred over the last few years. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure that for Phil Jurkovec, he could have found a better landing spot than right here. I mean, he got to play immediately, which is what he wanted. And he's being tutored by Frank Signetti, who's been in the NFL, Jeff Hafley, who's been in the NFL, and he's got 3 years of eligibility here. It's the perfect situation for Phil.
They run a pro-style offense. He has a man wide open in the flat. And having a tough time moving is C.J. Lewis. I don't know if he injured himself as he had to bend for that throw. And he is grabbing at his right leg, perhaps a hamstring or calf problem. But the combination of the low throw and then the physical distress for Lewis cost them a much bigger play. As it is, they're to the Notre Dame 45.
Now, Lewis has been kind of a star of late. He's a former high school quarterback. He's really been coming on. Watch, he's just going to fake block and then slip out, and he's unaccounted for out in the defense by Notre Dame because he showed block first and kind of pulled up awkwardly at the end of this play.
Definitely a left leg issue there, and they're already thin at wide receiver. 3-0 Notre Dame early on.
College football on ABC is presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits. And in part by Duluth Trading Company. Tough, ingenious workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
That was the most memorable of the 25 previous Boston College Notre Dame matchups. 1993, David Gordon, the game-winning field goal. And that came just 1 week after Notre Dame had knocked off top-ranked Florida State in South Bend for Lou Holtz, 31-24. So a lot of similarities between 93 and this season. Here's Travis Levy through a hole. And inside the 25-yard line, Sean Crawford made a tackle that saved a touchdown. 1st and 10, Boston College.
Well, this offensive line for Boston College has been showing improvement, learning a new system, completely different style of play. 2 of the last 3 weeks, they've had their best running games against Georgia Tech and Syracuse. And even though they didn't run for a lot of yards against Clemson, they were effective running the football at times. And I think that group is getting much better.
They strive for balance. Heavily on the pass early in the year, running better now. Here comes a blitz, and Sean Crawford takes down his former teammate Djokovic back at the 31.
Well, Phil's got to know that this is one that's unprotected because he's coming and he's coming. He can't get 2 of them blocked. They can block 1 of them, and Vrabel does, but they don't get the outside guy. And the safety, Sean Crawford, is there for the sack. And for Djokovic, good thing he held on to the football. When you don't know that pressure's coming or where it's coming from, sometimes you lose the football.
C.J. Lewis back on the field for Boston College. He did walk off under his own power after staying down on the field with a leg injury. Now Djokovic showing that running ability that we spoke of. He invites the contact from his old pals, and it's Kyle Hamilton. Such a terrific safety who played the run beautifully last week against Clemson. They held Travis Etienne to 28 yards rushing.
And 34 as a team. I mean, they totally one-dimensionalized the Clemson offense, put it in the hands of that freshman quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, and he almost beat him.
Good for you. 2 weeks of practice now.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody's nailing DJ's pronunciation. It was the fewest rushing yards by Clemson since 2011.
Keep an eye down here. Flowers working against the true freshman.
Djokovic with time has a receiver. It's a low throw, but it's a catch. Jelani Galloway able to scoop it off the field turf for a 1st and goal, Boston College.
Now, it was a low throw. It wasn't a great throw by Djokovic. It was a beautiful route by Galloway. That's what created the separation. And he was able to go down and get his arms underneath the ball.
1st and goal, BC. Djokovic injured his throwing shoulder at the end of their game against Clemson a couple of weeks ago. He admitted to us yesterday it bothered him last week against Syracuse. He thinks he's fully healthy now, and he looks it.
Oh, he's got his tight end wide open.
Throws to the corner, and it's out of bounds. That's C.J. Lewis, who was injured earlier. Close play along the boundary, but ruled out of bounds.
Todd's right. He had his tight end, number 80, Hunter Long, wide open on the right side, but he had checked off of that look and went to the left side.
I mean, that's a tough throw against very good coverage by McLeod, but his tight end coming back the other way, his defender fell down. It would have been an easy touchdown throw for Djokovic had he seen it.
Still learning the offense. They're taking a lot of time in the huddle here. Here's a look at Hunter Long, who was wide open, as you both mentioned. Todd squared. Play clock at 3 is Djokovic in trouble again. There's a flag down as he just gets rid of it. Flag down near sideline.
I think this might be a legal motion on Boston College. It looked like the receiver, Gill, might have turned upfield too soon.
Mike Roach, the referee, wanting to know what Brian Kelly wants to do. It was an
Legal
incomplete
motion.
pass.
Offense number 86. That penalty's declined. It'll be 3rd down.
There's Jalen Gill. Basically came along with Jeff Hafley. Gill, highly recruited player to Ohio State, but didn't see the field very much, so he transferred here to Boston College in his first season with the Eagles. Played just 6 games last year for the Buckeyes. 3rd down and goal. First possession for BC. Notre Dame took the opening kickoff and kicked the field goal. Djokovic, a deep drop. Corner of the end zone. A flag down again. It's caught by Levy for a touchdown if it stands. Perfect throw by Djokovic, but there is a flag down in the middle of the field. BC sideline celebrating.
Holding. Defense number 14. That penalty's declined. The result of the play is a touchdown.
And that's why Phil Djokovic, playing against his former team, marches Boston College right down the field for a touchdown.
Well, here's Levy. He's going to run a corner route. The penalty is going to be right here. Kyle Hamilton But I thought this could have been close to Hunter Long pushing off with his right hand the way we saw Notre Dame's tight end. Very similar kind of play in the middle of the field. They called it on the defense. It was declined and a perfect throw to the back pylon. But did he have control?
I don't think so.
Yep, they're going to have to take a look. He was bobbling it, and his right foot came down out of bounds when the ball was before it was secured.
And I think this is going to be overturned. He is still juggling the ball, and his foot comes down out of bounds.
You know, and here's the difference between a wide receiver knowing how to toe tap and knowing how to get his feet in, and a running back coming out of the backfield. It's a little harder responsibility. He doesn't get the foot, even if he catches it secure, his foot is out of bounds anyway.
But I think it was the extra bobble that got him closer to the end line. The time it took to corral it. Let's welcome in our rules expert. Even got a shout out today from Vern Lundquist on game day. Matt Austin. Matt, this seems pretty clear cut to us. What say you, my friend?
Yeah, Sean and Todd, you guys nailed it. He definitely was bobbling the ball. As you said, the foot was out of bounds before he secured it. This will be overturned, and they'll accept the hold.
Yeah, that's right. It would go back to the penalty on the free safety, Kyle Hamilton.
Which means automatic first down.
Automatic first down
as well.
And goal. Yep.
So the 6 will come down for the moment, but they'll get a fresh set of downs. Discussing the situation here about the enforcement of the penalty instead.
That was a beautiful throw by Phil Jerkovic. I mean, but again, a wide receiver has a little different feel for the back of the end zone than a running back in that
review,
situation.
The receiver did not maintain possession of the football while in bounds. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. The holding on number 14 of the defense will be enforced from the 9-yard line to the 4.5. It'll be Boston College football. The game clock will start on the snap.
Well done by replay and the on-field officiating crew there.
Here's another look at the penalty. Watch right in the middle of your screen, number 14. Kyle Hamilton is the one that got called for holding. Again, it looked a little bit like Hunter Long pushed off with his right hand as well. But the penalty went against the outstanding safety Hamilton. And now Boston College first and goal inside the 5.
And they substituted several players onto the defense late once they saw the BC personnel. It's a run into the line with David Bailey, featured running back off a 125-yard game at Syracuse in a BC win last week.
Well, BC substituted 3 tight ends. They went heavy to the right side of the formation, tried to run it back the other way, but Notre Dame's defense has been outstanding in both third down situations and in the red zone, not allowing touchdowns.
Second and goal from the 4. They come after Jerkovic again. He lofts it up for Zay Flowers and an acrobatic catch for a Boston College touchdown.
We've seen Phil Jerkovic all season make throws like this, off balance, backing up. He gives Zay Flowers a chance. The defender, McLeod, has no chance. The ball is thrown behind the receiver, but watch the adjustment Zay Flowers makes in the back of the end zone, tracks the football, grabs it with one hand, pulls it in.
I thought it was going to hit me. Flowers does an amazing job of adjusting. He's basically dropping his body weight to get back to that ball.
So dynamic this year for Boston College.
The extra point is good from Aaron Bumeri. Frank Signetti, the offensive coordinator, BC coach with the Rams, Coach Tavon Austin. He says Zay Flowers reminds him a lot of Tavon Austin. And that's quite a compliment. Beautiful catch. And an exciting start to the Holy War. Phil Jerkovic threw 2 touchdown passes in 2 seasons for Notre Dame. He's thrown a touchdown pass in his first possession against the Fighting Irish. And the Eagles lead 7-3 with 5:03 to go in the first quarter. Danny Longman kicks off again for BC. Returnable for Chris Tyree. And he scampers out of bounds shy of the 25. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Phil Jurkovec admitted to me that this game means a lot to him because he feels like he wasn't given a fair shot at Notre Dame, and his teammates told me pregame this game is personal for Phil, and he has been practicing angry all week long. And I'm told Phil keeps screenshots of conversations with former Notre Dame teammates, and he was looking at them this week, and he is mad, and he's playing like it. You can tell, Sean.
They told us he got frustrated waiting to play. Very highly recruited, actually more highly recruited than Ian Book. Hard to argue with Ian Book retaining the job with the way he's played. He has trouble on the handoff with Chris Tyree, and Boston College has recovered. Brandon Barlow gets it back for BC.
This is a read play for Ian Book. He's reading the outside defender. So the running back has to assume he's getting it all the time, and then the quarterback has to make the decision whether to keep it in the belly of the back or pull it. A little indecision possibly between Book and Tyree, and a turnover, and that's what Boston College's defense has been really good at. Their 15th takeaway now on the season. Jeff Hafley said, we're not good enough yet defensively to just line up and beat people. If we're going to win this year, we have to take the football away.
Only Syracuse and Arkansas have more takeaways around the country than the Eagles. Jurkovec threw it into no man's land.
Boy, he had a guy open too, Sean. His tight end again was wide open. Just couldn't get the ball out fast enough. Hunter Long, who is the leading receiver, and Notre Dame very well aware of him as a weapon, has left him kind of unaccounted for on a couple plays.
Seemed like he rushed that throw.
Yeah, he did. He kind of didn't get his feet set. Didn't get enough on the football.
They've been bringing pressure regularly at Jurkovec. Travis Levy, the running back. Four-man rush this time, and that throw is off target in the direction of Levy. Shane Simon was fantastic. Really had the best game of his Notre Dame career last week against Clemson.
That's back-to-back poor throws by Jurkovec there. The one, he didn't set his feet and rushed. That time his feet were set, but he just kind of pulled the string on it, and it went into the ground. And now he's got a 3rd and 10 against this Notre Dame defense, one of the best in the country at 25% on 3rd down.
Screen, Levy in trouble, and he'll be dumped for a loss. Back at the 25, read beautifully by Bo Bauer, who alternates in with Drew White in the middle of that linebacker core.
And you can see these linebackers can cover. And even watching Owusu Karamal at number 6, he's covering a slot receiver, and they just have great instincts when it comes to 3rd down and coverage, and it really played out there.
Bo Bauer is the special linebacker on nickel. He comes in all the time on those 3rd down situations. Snuffed that one out beautifully.
41-yard field goal try for Aaron Bumeri. And that one is right down the middle. But a good hold by the Notre Dame defense in the quick change situation. They hold Boston College to the field goal try. 10-3 Eagles. And let's send you back to the studio now. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, good afternoon. Time now for a protection spotlight brought to you by Allstate. We're taking a look at a great touchdown play in the Pac-12. Plenty of time, nice protection. And it's cranking out at Jamari Joyner, who does the rest down the sidelines. USC, Arizona tied up 7 apiece in the first quarter. Back to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you. A nice start for Phil Jurkovec in the Eagles against Notre Dame. To amplify what Molly was saying, Phil Jurkovec told us, he got to the point where he just wanted to get on the field. He started thinking about playing another position, even though he didn't know what that would be. When they got back from their bowl game win over Iowa State, he talked to his family. He said, "You're not happy, Dad." He threw himself into the transfer portal. It was right as Jeff Hafley and Frank Signetti were trying to figure out what they were going to do for a quarterback here at BC. They got in contact with him immediately. And here he is. Turned by Chris Tyree. They were on the phone. He was in Boston within a couple of days. Jeff Hafley said, some of the staff members said, "Oh, we'll go to the airport and pick up Jurkovec." He said, "No, I'm going to go myself. I don't even know where the airport is. I just got to Boston myself.
I need somebody to drive me because I don't know how to get to the airport, but I'm going to be in the car with him."
And by the end of that weekend, beginning of the next week, he was enrolled in classes here at Boston College. He said, when I went to Notre Dame, it was for the brand. I grew up a big Irish fan. I had a great experience there. But BC, it was the people who won me over, most notably Jeff Hafley and Frank Signetti.
Well, and the opportunity to play right away was very important to him.
He knew very little about Boston College. Ian Book has a man open. It's Avery Davis, another of the heroes of that win against Clemson. And a nice gainer here for the Irish. Brandon Sebastian took him down, but it's a 22-yard play.
Nice touch pass that time by Ian Book. Had to get it over the linebacker, Isaiah McDuffie, number 55. Right over the top of him, into the waiting hands of Avery Davis, the slot receiver.
Kyron Williams, the running back. And he gets bottled up after a 2-yard gain. Of course, when he went into the transfer portal and it was announced that he was leaving, Molly mentioned he felt a little angry perhaps this week. There was an interesting note on social media from Ian Book. Circle got smaller. That got some attention this week. We asked Ian Book, was that intended as a shot at Djokovic as he was leaving? Book down the middle. That's caught by Kyron Williams for a first down. And Ian Book said, no, it's a post-Malone lyric. It was just really coincidental bad timing. But Djokovic called him and said, hey, I thought we were close. Are you dissing me? Ian said, no, I'm not. We asked Phil Djokovic yesterday about it. He said, we're good now, but at the time I didn't buy the explanation. I still don't. It's too much of a coincidence, but it's in the past.
They both knew that it was very bad timing.
Yes.
That's for sure.
And based on what Molly said, it might not be completely in the past. Perhaps Phil was being diplomatic with our group yesterday. Kyron Williams stopped for a loss of a yard. Max Roberts on the corner.
But here's the reality. In today's world of college football and with the transfer portal, these highly recruited guys, 4- and 5-star quarterbacks, they're giving it about a year and a half to see if they're going to play. If they're not going to play at that amount of time, they're not waiting 3 or 4 years. They're getting in the portal and they're going to go find somewhere else to play. And it's worked out great for both guys.
Yes. Design quarterback draw by Book. He runs over a defender. And it's Isaiah McDuffie who'll get credited with the tackle, but Book, just 6 feet, about 210 pounds, initiated the contact there.
And watch the block by the center, Jarrett Patterson, number 55, one of the leaders up front. This is the only design run I've seen Notre Dame use for their quarterback, is a quarterback draw. And Ian Book has a great feel for finding seams running that quarterback draw.
Gain of 12, Irish on the move again. 1st and 10, Boston College 22. Williams looked like it would be a loss. He made it a 2-yard gain.
You know, and sometimes marriages just don't work out, right? And as much as Djokovic wanted to be at Notre Dame and loved him growing up and was a fan of the team, it just wasn't the right fit. And he gets here to BC and you're starting to see him thrive. And Ian Book is thriving with the coaching that he's getting at Notre Dame. So it really does work out well for both these quarterbacks.
Yep. You can't argue with the coach's decision to keep playing Book. He's 27-3 as the starter. He flips it forward to Lawrence Keys, the speedster, has another Notre Dame first down.
Tommy Rees told us that Lawrence Keys was going to become more and more a part of this offense. He's a speed guy. He had been banged up. He was practicing here the last week or so. They already lost Kevin Austin to a broken foot. Braden Lenzy, they're trying to get him back from hamstring injuries. They think this guy, Lawrence Keys, can kind of be the speed guy now.
Yep. Because Austin and Lenzy are speed guys. They haven't been able to go much. Corner throw up for grabs for Skoranek. He caught it even with a flag down and with Brandon Sebastian all over him. An apparent Notre Dame touchdown.
See, that's, again, throwing to big-bodied receivers like this. You just put the ball up in a position. You don't need great separation. Let them use their body to create space. A lot of contact, but the bigger body wins in a situation like that. That's just all there is to it. I mean, Sebastian's in good position. He's just not big or strong enough to take the ball away. unless they call the penalty on the offensive player.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Pass interference, defense, that penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchdown. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 11. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. That's number 11's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
And what a catch. I mean, it was a big target, but still to catch the ball with the defender draped all over you like that was really impressive.
Great concentration. You could see Sebastian didn't know where the ball was. Never got his eyes around to see where the football was. Skowronek had a beat on it the whole way and went up and caught it. Skowronek with a great play.
And Jonathan Dorr on to tie it. It's good. Now made 93 straight PATs. So Skowronek must like our crew. Yeah, that's right. For Notre Dame this year was at Pitt. Game in which he had his other 2 touchdown catches. Later tonight on ABC, Wisconsin and Michigan from the big house. That's at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Also on the ESPN app. Wisconsin played just one game, that impressive win on October 23rd against Illinois. Michigan in desperate need of a win, change the mood in Ann Arbor. They're 1-2, unranked for the first time since the end of the 2017 season. COVID causing all kinds of problems throughout college football. 15 games postponed. They were worried at Notre Dame after the students stormed the field. 0 positive tests for the Notre Dame football team this week. And Boston College has had 1 positive test. It was back in June when the team first got back on campus. They've had almost 7,000 tests collectively, 0 positive. What a performance by BC, making sure they do all the right thing. Peter Steer taking the kickoff from Dorr, and BC takes advantage of that penalty. They'll have excellent starting field position. It's 6 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Well, I still think the matchups that favor right now BC and their pass offense, Zay Flowers is going to be matched up against a true freshman, Clarence Lewis, number 26 for Notre Dame. He's kind of been playing in place of Tariq Bracy at corner. They're not completely solid at that position right now. And then the tight end, I do think Hunter Long, they're going to get him involved soon because he's had some opportunities to catch the football.
Flowers, and he is taken down by Dalen Hayes on the last play of the first quarter. Entertaining start. And ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, you're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5. As the sun sets on a very pleasant mid-November day in the hub of the universe. 2nd and 15, first play of the second quarter. Phil Jerkovic, looked like he got hit as he threw it.
Notre Dame is getting good pressure, good push and collapsing the pocket. That was just a 4-man rush, but it was just a good, strong rush. And Jerkovic, even though he's a big, strong guy and likes to hang in the pocket, he just couldn't get anything on that football. Ball got knocked around.
Zade Ogundeji putting the pressure on, one of the 5 Notre Dame team captains.
Now you have 3rd and long. I would expect Notre Dame to maybe just rush 3 and drop into coverage and make him throw it underneath.
Kolik 5 out of 10 for 45 yards in retreat. Stays on his feet. Now has a man open, and it is caught at the Notre Dame 32-yard line by Jalen Gill.
What a job staying with the play. Now Gill is way over here. He's going to come all the way across the field because of the scrambling ability and the strength of Jerkovic.
And when I talked to Brian Kelly before the game, that's exactly what he said he was concerned about, is his ability to break tackles, get outside the pocket, find an open receiver, and make throws down the field.
A Grew up in Pittsburgh, a big fan of Ben Roethlisberger. That looked like Big Ben there. Tough to get down. He throws toward the end zone, and it's batted away. Trying for Zay Flowers again. And it's broken up by Nick McLeod, the grad transfer from North Carolina State.
This is perfect coverage by McLeod. Sees the ball the whole way, times his jump, goes up with the right hand and knocks the football away. And really was good with his left hand as well. That's perfect coverage downfield by Nick McLeod.
A 34-yard play as Boston College inside the Irish 30. The completion to Gill. Great fake by Djokovic. And he's leg tackled inside the 15-yard line by Clarence Lewis.
I'll tell you who he fooled the biggest on this one was Owusu. I mean, he was locked into the running back. Watch Owusu, number 6 right here. He goes with the back. Nobody goes out with the quarterback. Good fake by Djokovic, and it really caught the Notre Dame defense, who's usually not out of position very often. Particularly that guy. Caught him out of position for a big run.
17 yards rushing for Djokovic. Ran for 94 in their win against Georgia Tech. Running out of time and trying to get it in the direction of Hunter Long. Boy, Hunter Long looks like he's been open on almost every play. He still hasn't caught a ball.
I'll tell you what, and Todd McShay talked about the toughness of Djokovic, the Pittsburgh toughness, and Brian Kelly talked about that was his concern. I mean, he has been hit hard and knocked down at least a half a dozen times in this game already, and he just is slinging it.
You can tell he's a man possessed tonight.
On 2nd and 10, the toss to David Bailey, and nothing doing there. Stop for a loss. Clarence Lewis up from the secondary. Drew White, the little linebacker, also there.
This is what we're talking about. This game is still in the first half, and he's getting hit. Even when he's getting rid of the football and throwing completions, that was the sack by Crawford. He scrambled earlier, did not want to slide, took a couple hits there, but it's just been a situation. That's the way he plays. He plays with that kind of edge, that kind of toughness. And the rest of his team feeds off of it as well.
Big 3rd down and 12 here. They are in field goal range. Djokovic, another throw toward the pylon. C.J. Lewis didn't realize the ball was coming.
Man coverage. Really nice job that time by the freshman cornerback Clarence Lewis. Instead of getting caught up on a little rub route, he kind of went behind the other defender and was right in position. Watch 26 read this, go behind his teammate, and then be right in position to make the play. Offensively, you're kind of hoping those guys bump into each other and get some separation.
Here's Bumeri, who connected from 41 in the first quarter. And that one's good from 31. Boston College takes the lead again, 13-10. 12:41 to go in the first half here at Chestnut Hill.
Taco Bell's Nachos Party Pack. Delicious nachos topped with all your favorites. Only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge. Down to the field, Molly McGrath and Todd McShay. Boston College leads, and they try an onside kick after they take a 13-10 lead. And they believe they have it. Danny Longman, the kickoff man.
Sean, this kick did not go 10 yards, so there was no way BC could touch it. Notre Dame's player came across the marker to go for the football and did not secure it. I think he was thinking he's going to catch it and score a touchdown, and he didn't secure it. And then Boston College was able to fall on the loose ball and recover.
Good for Jeff Halfwood. Being aggressive.
Gutsy. Love it.
Really gutsy.
I was just about to criticize it, actually.
The ball was touched by the receiving team. The kicking team recovered. It'll be BC's football. First down.
It was touched by Isaiah Pryor and recovered by Josh DeBerry. I was going to say, you know, you're playing stride for stride with Notre Dame. Why do you need to try something this risky? But Jeff Hafley knows better than I do.
See, I think the Notre Dame player was thinking touchdown.
Yep.
Catch it and run in for a touchdown, and he didn't secure the football. It bounced off his head, and the next thing you know, DeBerry grabs it for Boston College.
They just announced the previous play is being reviewed. As they review it, we'll go to a break. But I think we'll hear from Matt Austin when we come back. That's exactly as you described. Todd B.
College football presented by PlayStation 5 on ABC is brought to you by Pacific Life. More than 150 years strong. Trust in your tomorrow. And Mazda. Feel alive.
Well, a major development while we were away. Let's bring in our rules expert, Matt Austin, who was all over it as usual. What happened here, Matt?
Well, on a free kick, the offense or the kicking team is prohibited from blocking before they're eligible to touch the ball. And on this play, you see number 23 go down and block a receiving team member, and the ball had not gone 10 yards nor touched the Notre Dame player. So that is reviewable. Replay saw it from the booth. They went to review. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll have to re-kick.
Well done. Yep. A good catch by the replay official, Mark McInerney. Steve McBride alongside the communicator. Danny Longman kicks off. And a fair catch made by Chris Tyree. Here's today's Crunch Time, brought to you by Cheez-It.
When we talk about Kyron Williams and coaches say he's a complete package, this is what we mean. We know he can run. Had 140 yards last week against Clemson. Running the counter here. Outstanding vision and balance. He's also a dangerous pass receiver. The coaches told us they thought he could have been their slot receiver. His hands are so good. But here's part 3. Pass protection, picking up blitzes. We saw it last week. We're seeing it again today. Kyron Williams is an all-around back and plays like an NFL running back.
Just a redshirt freshman out of St. Louis. Here's the Missouri Offensive Player of the Year. Last 5 his senior year on the state championship team. He watches as Sebo Flemister gets the carry and gets about 6.
Kyron Williams told me the Clemson hangover is cured. We're mature enough to stay focused, but you can tell he's taking this early deficit personally. He was just yelling at teammates saying, don't let them think we're mentally weak. They can't mess with us. We need to answer. And Williams is by far my favorite player to watch on the sidelines because he's just a little bit crazy.
And a lot of bit talented. On 2nd and 4. Book keeps it again. Lots of room up the middle, and he's out to midfield. Chopped down by Deion Jones, another transfer. He came from the University of Maryland.
Watch these defenders all go with the flow of the action. We saw Jerkovic do it to the Notre Dame defense, and now Ian Book does it to the BC defense. Good fake, sell it. Defense is fooled, gets out of position, and Ian Book shows his ability as a runner. He's been an outstanding runner ever since he's been the starting quarterback.
As we mentioned, he is 2nd all-time in career rushing yards among quarterbacks. 1,350, but he's not going to catch Tony Rice. And out of time there, well covered by Boston College. Tony Rice ran for 1,921 yards at quarterback in the late 80s.
And the one area I think Ian Book can improve upon is finding open receivers and really surveying the field. Michael Mayer checked into the game. They clearly were designing a play there for him to give him that run after catch ability that he does so well, and he just missed it.
On 2nd and 10, Williams got a piece of the rusher. Didn't fully stop him, but Book got free from Isaiah McDuffie and got rid of the ball.
You watch these two linebackers now. These two guys, McDuffie and Richardson in the middle of the defense.
The play, the quarterback was outside of the pocket and threw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage.
Here's McDuffie. He's going to bring the pressure. Richardson is going to finish it off when McDuffie can't get him on the ground. He beats the block by Kyron Williams. And then at the end, it wasn't Richardson. I'm sorry, it was Brandon Barlow who was there to help out Isaiah McDuffie.
The redshirt junior from Buffalo, New York. The nation's leading tacklers. 3rd down and 10. Book surrounded, got it free, and here's Avery Davis again. Down the sideline and inside the 5. And he'll be marked out at the 2-yard line.
You have trips to the top of the field. They're all bunched together. Davis is going to let the 2 outside guys clear, and then kind of the second in route finds an opening in the BC defense, and Ian Book did a great job of staying in the pocket and allowing that play to develop.
That's the speed they need. They've got so many 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers, they're tight ends, but they need a speed receiver, and that's a huge element to their game.
He's come on these last couple of weeks. Great look from the progressive pylon cam. Now here's Sebo Flemister. Powerful runner comes in short yardage, and he's in the end zone for a Notre Dame touchdown and the Irish lead.
Well, again, they put that tight end Tommy Tremble in the backfield as a fullback. He loves to seek out the contact. He's going to lead the way. Watch the left side of the offensive line. It's a veteran, powerful, big, experienced group, and Tremble leads the way.
Set up by the 48-yard catch and run by Avery Davis.
Great to see Avery Davis. Came as a quarterback, moved to defensive back, moved to running back, settled in as a slot receiver, and has really become a big part of what they're doing right now.
2 huge catches on their final drive of regulation to tie up that game against Clemson and force the overtime. Unselfish, the word Coach Kelly used to describe Avery Davis. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, Allstate. Back and forth they go. It's Notre Dame back on top, 17-13. Here's Travis Levy bringing back the Jonathan Dorr kickoff to the 25-yard line. It's time for today's Aflac trivia question. Boston College is 3-34 all time against opponents ranked in the Associated Press top 5. 2 of those wins were against Notre Dame. The other opponent ranked in the top 5 they defeated. And I know you and the bigger cheater McShay down on the field know the answer because I said it during our production meeting this morning. Without cheating. I just knew it because of vigorous preparation for this game. I was the one who said it.
Oh, you're better than someone cheated all day.
That is also not true. Travis Levy carries for a loss of a yard. The answer was Tennessee in 1940. And the reason I knew that, I was researching Frank Leahy. Of course, there's the connection between these two schools. He coached in both places. And that was in the Sugar Bowl at the end of an undefeated season. Coach Leahy and 5 players off that BC team, all in the College Football Hall of Fame. But that was his last game at Boston College. He left to become the head coach at Notre Dame. 20-2 in 2 seasons here. To Notre Dame. Deep throw by Phil Jerkovic, and it's batted away. A little underthrown for Zay Flowers, and there's the tremendous Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah closing ground and knocking the ball away.
And this is the fastest receiver for Boston College. The ball's a little underthrown, but how about the catch-up speed of the linebacker, Owusu-Koramoah? I mean, that is incredible athleticism to get back into play, into phase with the receiver, and knock the ball away.
That's why he's a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, this guy can do everything.
And he does. They play him all over the place. On the line, linebacker. He'll cover slot receivers. Senior from Bethel, Virginia. Jerkovic on 3rd and 11 for Flowers again. And it's too high. The throwing motion might have been altered again by pressure.
Go back and look at this play. He's in the slot, covering the fastest and the best receiver. He's beat, but he catches up. Now the ball was a little underthrown, but you just see the acceleration, the explosiveness of that linebacker.
Todd McShay, where do you see him in the NFL? A hybrid player? Reminds me a little of Isaiah Simmons from last year, a guy who can do it all for Clemson. Here's the punt. The foot of Grant Carlson. And Salerno the catch. Don't know if he signaled for a fair catch, but they threw a flag as he got wrapped up.
Well, even if he didn't call a fair catch, they were too close to him, didn't give him the ability to make a clean catch. So there's a flag either way.
Yeah. On the catch.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team number 20. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Going back to Owusu, the ability to play all over the field is what really makes him special. He can play safety. He can play that overhang going up against the slot. You saw the play in coverage, and then the very next play, he's matched up against a tight end and pressing him and taking him out of the play. Eric Kendricks for the Vikings, 6 years of 100 tackles. Roquan Smith, Bobby Wagner, he's that kind of player, and he's today's NFL lineman.
Clark Lee, the defensive coordinator, said he has power, skill, and speed. It's special, and it is special. The same high school that produced Allen Iverson, who was a terrific quarterback, in addition to his basketball skills. Bethel in Virginia. Here's Ian Book weaving his way to the 46 of Boston College.
Ian Book is off to another strong game. 10 of 14 throwing the football with a touchdown. He's carried the ball 5 times now for 43 yards. Just doing the things he does. Running this offense, distributing the football. Playing with great poise and confidence this year with Tommy Reese as not only his quarterback coach, but his offensive coordinator.
Kyron Williams swung down, but not before he got a first down inside the 40. Isaiah McDuffie to stop for BC.
I thought it was interesting when Brian Kelly, we asked him about Ian this year. He talked about the relationship with Tommy Reese. He also said, you know, the other thing, he's not listening to the noise this year. He's kind of blocked that out, and he's playing with a lot more maturity than he had earlier in his career. And there's a lot of noise if you're the quarterback at Notre Dame.
Yes. Target Book to Javon McKinley on the slant. He's down to the 19-yard line, and Notre Dame briskly on the move. Jamin Muse made the tackle.
Good versatility. The running back's out wide. It's kind of a 5-receiver set. That time, McKinley, who's usually out wide, is in the slot, and he's a big body receiver running that slant route. Easy throw and catch for Ian Book. Good use of personnel and formations. Now they're in tight with a tight formation.
19-yard gain. It's a delay to Kyron Williams. Manages to bounce it outside and gets thrown down by Max Richardson.
Again, if you want to find where the football is going for Notre Dame, follow 24, because Tommy Tremble, the tight end, is going to show you where he's at. He's right here. He's going to lead this play, and he looks for contact. He loves to block. I mean, he gets into you. He likes to put his face on you, and that's what enables Kyron Williams to get to the edge of the defense.
Notre Dame takes its first time out of the half. There'll be a 30-second timeout.
Brian Kelly, you mentioned a homecoming for the Irish head coach, looking for his 100th win as head coach at Notre Dame, and really taking his place among Irish legends. 11 years, he's one of only 5 to make it that long on the sidelines in South Bend, and the other 4 are some of the great names in the history of college coaching. He got his team's attention. There's no hangover, it seems. They're just playing a very good Boston College team here again.
Yeah, I think he's done a brilliant job all season keeping his team focused. They're playing in the ACC for the first time ever in a conference. When we talked to him a couple weeks ago, he was very bold in telling us, look, this is about beating Clemson, okay? And they did that. They worked on getting better and be well enough to beat Clemson. Now it's, where do we go from here? How do we keep getting better?
Well, they have enough left in the tank here at Boston College. McKinley another catch and another first down at the 8-yard line. Max Richardson shoved him out.
Love what McKinley is doing this season. You know, he's a guy, he's an older guy, he's a graduate, but this is the first year he's ever been under the bright lights, where he's been a feature guy, where he's played a lot of reps, and he's been very consistent all season. A lot of catches down the field also for this offense.
Brian Kelly, before that Pitt game close, we'd like more production from McKinley because we think he's capable of it. He is providing it. First and goal. Chance for Notre Dame to take its first 2-score lead of the day. And a flag down. They might have taken too much time. They did.
Delay of game. Offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Brian Kelly, born in Everett, Massachusetts, just outside the great city of Boston, around Chelsea. A lovely North Shore town of Andover, Mass. Went to college. Less than an hour away from here at Assumption in Worcester. Because of COVID, busy, really wouldn't have a chance to see his parents down on Cape Cod, but he knows they're watching today. He has a brother who lives in the western suburbs. We hope to see at the hotel from a social distance tonight. BC tries to bring pressure. They flush Book back. Buys time by scrambling and throws on the run. Incomplete for Avery Davis. Well covered by Brandon Sebastian.
That was excellent coverage. It was all man coverage. They tried to come after Ian Book, and Book does what he does really well, extend plays as long as he could. And there was never a chance to throw the ball cleanly. No separation against this Boston College secondary on that play.
I asked Coach Hafley, who's the player that's really improving on the defensive side? And he said, keep an eye on Sebastian. This guy keeps getting better and better every week.
Second and goal from the 13. Book was in trouble, got away again, finds his man Skoranek for a touchdown.
Wow, this is so good by Ian Book, because he was looking to go to Kyron Williams first, but Max Richardson had it covered, and so he had to go somewhere else. They're looking here first, but the linebacker is in coverage, so watch Ian Book adjust. He's looking right, it's not there. So he moves, he extends the play, and then he finds Skoranek on the opposite side of the formation and gets him the football. That's beautiful work by the quarterback, Ian Book.
And Ben Skoranek is Mr. ABC 330.
Yes.
2 touchdown receptions at Pitt. His only 2 as a member of the Irish prior to today. A couple more today. The transfer from Northwestern. Ian Book picking up right where he left off last Saturday night against Clemson. An 11-point lead for number 2 Notre Dame. Not far from downtown Boston, the campus of Boston College in Chestnut Hill. 5-3 Eagles hosting 7-0 Notre Dame. Winners of 13 in a row dating back to last year. That's the longest active winning streak in the country. The Irish leading 24-13. The second touchdown of the game by Big Ben Skoranek.
Mr. ABC 330.
Yeah, for sure. Jonathan Dorr kicks off. Breeze has picked up just enough to knock it off the tee, but it's still pretty light. Travis Levy makes a fair catch inside the 5.
Now, Ian Book, Sean, you mentioned on the way to break, picking up right where he left off last week against Clemson, doing a little bit of everything. Moving in the pocket, throwing off schedule, really kind of keeping this Boston College defense off balance with his ability to run and extend plays. This last touchdown was just a thing of beauty. Going to an off read, extending the plays with his legs. He's thrown for 187 yards and run for 42 and leading this team.
Will Jakovic on target. C.J. Lewis for about 13. Knocked down by Drew White. And Boston College trailing by 2 scores for the first time today with 5.5 to go in the half.
Boston College had 5 first downs on their first drive. That was just their 3rd one since. So that was an important completion there, gaining another first down. It's up to Phil Dracovic in this Boston College offense to put something together here. Got to stay out of 3rd down and long.
Play action pass. Deep throw for an open receiver, and it's caught. Ball took a while to get to Jalen Gill as 2 defenders converged, but he caught it for a gain to the 23 of Notre Dame.
Well, he's been under pressure a lot, but he's big, he's strong, he's fearless, he's going to stay in there. And this ball was kind of poorly played by Sean Crawford, number 20, the free safety. Just was kind of got caught flat-footed, and Gill was able to slip between he and Kyle Hamilton and make a big catch.
The second big catch, that one was for 40. His other catch was for 34. Travis Levy, nice cutback, found a big hole and gets 8 to the 15-yard line where the 60-year grad student Sean Crawford made the tackle.
You run zone plays like that, the back has a lot of places he can hit. He's just kind of reading the flow of his offensive line, and wherever he sees a crease, he can bend that play in there. Nice job by Levy finding the hole on that one.
They give it to Levy again, and he's stuffed. Kurt Heinisch, veteran of that defensive front. Another Pittsburgher out of Central Catholic.
Now see, the thing that hurts zone plays is penetration. Here's Heinisch right here. Watch him get into the backfield, and now the back doesn't have a chance to read and let this thing develop. He has nowhere to go. There's penetration on the front side and the back side. There's Drew White, number 40, who got penetration as well for the negative yardage play.
Setting up a 3rd down and 5. They are in field goal range. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up, but the pass is batted down by Bo Bauer. You mentioned earlier he comes in there on 3rd down in passing situations, and he makes his presence known. And the field goal team will come out for Boston College.
Bo Bauer showed blitz, then he dropped out and just kind of kept his eyes right on the quarterback, right there in the middle, number 52. And timed his jump reading the quarterback.
And one of the differences between these 2 teams is the depth that Notre Dame has, especially along the front defensively.
And Berneri's 2 for 2 today. It's the 35-yard try. He hasn't missed dead center yet. All 3 right down the middle. And the transfer from Temple. Nice drive.
Yep. Needed points, that's for sure.
Look at a 1-score game again. We approach halftime. Tomorrow, we hope you'll kick off week 10 of the NFL season at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown Crew on ESPN, including Matthew Hasselbeck, proud Boston College alum, great quarterback here. Then Monday Night Football with a rivalry game on ESPN at 8. The Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown. 6. Dalvin Cook's been on fire lately. 369 yards in the last 2 games. Bears have lost 3 in a row. Read this week Matt Nagy's going to hand off the assistant coaches. Where's Danny Longman to kick off? Chris Tyree back deep. Notre Dame and Boston College playing in the annual Red Bandana game at the BC campus. In memory of Wells Crowther, lacrosse player here, lost his life in 9/11 as he kept running back into the tower at the World Trade Center to save lives. Tyree elected not to fair catch this one. Brought it to the 29. We spoke with Jeff Hafley. He was very clear how important this game is to him. represents the ultimate sacrifice. A guy giving up his life for other people he doesn't even know. It's an honor for me to just be a part of something this special.
Well, and that's such a part of what the whole culture of this university at Boston College is, and then within this football program. He talks about just how proud he is of how his team is willing to sacrifice for each other and doing the right things, and how they've had all those tests with no positive results. I mean, it's all about sacrificing for one another, and it kind of fits that model.
Ian Book over the middle. Kyron Williams makes a man miss. Lost the football on the tackle, and the Eagles have it at the 42-yard line.
Kyron Williams with his third reception of the game. He only had 13 coming into the ball game. We knew he was a good receiver. Catches it clean, starts the move. And from behind, the ball gets ripped out. A good hustle play from behind the action.
By Chibuzi Onwuka.
One of those grad transfers, came from Buffalo.
And Isaiah McDuffie recovered. Another takeaway for Jeff Hafley's defense. We mentioned earlier they're among the national leaders in that category. They've had 2 fumble recoveries today. He said, at this stage in our development as a program, we're going to be a team like Notre Dame. Beat most teams. We have to take the ball away, get extra possessions for the offense.
Well, the only game they did not win the turnover battle was Virginia Tech, and they got beat badly in that ball game.
And 5 turnovers down in Blacksburg. Long throw by Djokovic for Zay Flowers. Interestingly, we talked to Hafley yesterday. He said, but that's the game I left thinking, I know we have a really good team. He said, we went up and down the field all day. I mean, obviously 5 turnovers. You're not going to win the game, but the offense really clicked in that game. Taking a look at Kyron Williams, who might have been injured on the play on which he fumbled.
Still think they've got to find a way to get Hunter Long more involved here. He's been open a few times.
Does not have a catch. Djokovic decides to run and goes down at the 35.
It's a good run because now you put yourself in a workable third down situation. Again, the Notre Dame defense, one of the best in the country on third downs. BC 2 for 6, but 5 of those third down situations were over 9 yards. That's really difficult against this defense. This is a very manageable third down situation for Djokovic.
And quite possibly 4 down territory here. They're on the fringe of Bumiri's range. Oh, the snap was poorly timed. Djokovic didn't know it was coming. There is a flag down on the play at the line of scrimmage. Dalen Hayes has it for the Irish.
Yeah, there was going to be a shift. I mean, there were 2 players getting ready to shift. That might be what the penalty flag was. And Alec Lindstrom, the center, just snapped it too early. And the quarterback, Djokovic, was not expecting it at all.
That was a fire drill. All kinds of people moving around as part of that shift. I wonder if it's just the center who forgot the snap.
Illegal shift on the offense. 2-men shifted and didn't get set for a full second before the ball was snapped. Penalties decline. It'll be Notre Dame's football, first down.
A very costly mistake. They get the turnover. They're in good field position. And Alec Lindstrom, who's one of their best up front, a very experienced guy, a signal caller, smart guy, just snapped the ball too early. Was not on the same page with the quarterback.
And now it's 2:09 with two timeouts.
Yep. And at the very least on the fringe of field goal range. Probably in 4 down territory. A takeaway for Notre Dame. Really a giveaway by Boston College. You mentioned Chris Lindstrom. They are brothers. Chris Lindstrom played here. Played alongside Alec for a while. He was a first-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons, playing for them now. They take over in plus territory, do the Irish, and it's Kyron Williams. He was hurt, not enough to keep him out of the game. Brandon Barlow swung him down inside the 45. 2 timeouts for Notre Dame, all 3 for BC.
Michael Mayer still pretty quiet, only 1 catch right here in the slot. Number 87 has the ability to accelerate after the catch.
Ian Book spins away from Marcus Valdez, checks it down to Kyron Williams, who makes a man miss. And that looked like a play going nowhere because of the talents of Book and Williams. They almost pick up a first down, and Notre Dame will use a timeout.
Well, it was interesting that both Jeff Hafley and Tem Lukabu, defensive coordinator, they both, when they were talking about Ian Book, said he is faster and more athletic than we thought. And we've seen that. His ability to escape and extend plays or run for positive yardage, that can be very frustrating for a defense.
Dramatic back and forth here in the late stages of the half. Kyron Williams stripped. Boston College in great shape. But then the misfire on the snap by Lindstrom and Dalen Hayes. The recovery for Notre Dame. 1:32 to go. 3rd and 2 upcoming for Notre Dame. Probably not in field goal range right here for Doors. You'd think 4 down territory if they don't get it here. Kyron Williams stacked up. He didn't get it. We'll see what Brian Kelly does on 4th and 1 at the 40.
Still has 1 timeout.
They haven't spotted the ball quickly. I think they want to try to run. They had 2 plays called. They want to try to run this one quickly. And Jeff Hafley, it looked like his defense was lined up, wanted to make sure.
Boston College takes its first time out of the half. It'll be 30 seconds in length.
That they're in the right place. Coming up in a matter of moments, the Capital One halftime report with Kevin Nagandi, Booger McFarland, and Mark Sanchez. And Ian Book, 15 completions today, 15 out of 20, has now moved past Tommy Rees on the all-time completions list. 629, 2 more than Coach Rees, 3rd all-time. Brady Quinn set some records that may never be broken. When you go through the Notre Dame book, he is light years ahead in yardage and touchdown passes. Looks like they're still going to go for it on 4th and 1. They snap it. They hand it off to Chris Tyree, the motion man, and he has the first down to the 35-yard line.
Well, nice timing play, giving it to Tyree, and again, Tremble is the guy leading the way, and now a little tempo here at the end of the half for Notre Dame.
The official comes back in because Notre Dame substituted. They need to give time for BC to substitute.
Notre Dame trying to hold on to that last timeout, so going quickly now.
They are in field goal range now. Book pulls it down, slides down with about 3. Luke Beckett, transfer from Cal, or the defensive line. And that'll be the last timeout for Brian Kelly with 44 seconds to go in the half. Talked about it earlier when we did the Pittsburgh game a couple of weeks before Notre Dame was to play Clemson. Brian Kelly, remarkably candid, said, this whole season is about beating Clemson, winning the ACC, playing for a national championship. They did that, but he also realizes, they're not just this Boston College team they had. North Carolina, Wake Forest. There are other teams good enough to beat Notre Dame too.
Well, and also, let's not kid ourselves. They're probably heading for another rematch with Clemson and Trevor Lawrence. Okay, and so Clemson is they are going to be working to get better. Notre Dame has to be a better football team the next time they play them than they were this first time, and that starts tonight in taking another step forward.
They'd like to lead by 2 scores going to the locker room. BC will get the ball first in the second half. 2nd and 7. Fake to Williams. Book. All right, down short of the marker and no timeouts left. Shabuzian Wuko has become a factor here in the second quarter, putting some heat on Book. 3rd down, about 1.5 yards. Book, far sideline, caught by Javon McKinley, and he gets out of bounds with the first down at the 23.
That was a great throw. That was from the right hash to the left sideline. Some questions about the arm strength or the consistency of Ian Book's arm. That was a big time throw all the way to the other side of the field, on time and with accuracy for the first down.
4-yard gain, 5th catch for McKinley, leading all receivers in this game. Book, they leave a gap in the middle and he runs through it. He has a first down. They'll stop the clock to move the chains as they go to the 7-yard line, and he's going to try to spike it, and he does. The clock never moved off 10 seconds.
You can't leave the middle of the field open for Ian Book like that. Again, that's the best way he scrambles, is up the middle. Had a couple big scrambles like that against Clemson a week ago. And Ian Book is right at the same yardage, 67 yards, that he had for the game last week against Clemson. He has 67 yards rushing in the first half.
Why is the play clock not moving?
Well, they spiked it, right? Oh, the play clock.
Yeah, the next play.
That's a good question.
Tyron Williams, the running back. Notre Dame can't have a play end in the field. To the corner of the end zone for Skoranek again, and he hangs on for his 3rd touchdown of the half.
Again, big body, throw it up. Skoranek in the slot, running to the corner, put it up in the air, let the big guy go catch it. Had separation from the tight end, or from the safety, Deion Jones. Watch Mayer. He was wide open also. Ian Book had either where to go for the touchdown. And right before the half, a big score by the Irish.
And Jonathan Dorn adds the extra point. So Ben Skoranek, 3 touchdown catches today. He had 2 for the year, and those 2 were in the same game against Pittsburgh. On big plays against the Panthers of 34 and 73 yards. The defender, Deion Jones, much too late.
Strong hands. You know, when you see him catch it, he just snatches the ball out of the air. He's a strong guy, graduate transfer from Northwestern, built a chemistry with Ian Book over the summer, went out to California, spent some time with him, get to know his new quarterback.
And then the beginning of his season was hampered by a hamstring injury. He was bothered the first 3 games. But he is a big factor on this Irish offense. He's put up 31 points in the half. Just 4 seconds left. So they squib the kickoff from Dorr down the field. And Travis Levy goes out of bounds to end the half.
31 points and 327 yards of offense in the first half for Notre Dame.
Ian Book threw for 213 and 3 scores, and he ran for 67. 31-16, Irish at the break. We'll send you to the studio for the Capital One halftime report after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Now we welcome you back to Alumni Stadium, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Second-ranked Notre Dame leading Boston College 31-16. You're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5. This is the ACC on ESPN. Notre Dame playing as a member of the ACC this year and leading the conference. Here's our Pacific Life game summary and another beautiful half of football from Ian Book.
Yeah, he just did a little bit of everything. Very accurate throwing the football. Ben Skoranek, his favorite target, 4 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns. And Ian Book was 67 yards rushing in the first half. That ties his career highs in the game, or season highs. guys. So really just an outstanding performance by Ian Book. And I think the Notre Dame defense, a week after giving up 439 yards passing to Clemson, they've kind of been on lockdown and made life pretty tough for Phil Jurkovec so far.
Tight game through most of the half. Big turnover late in the half by Boston College on a miscue on a shotgun snap. Seems to me if BC are going to take advantage of this first possession of the second half, they have to find a way to get something out of the running game.
A little bit out of the running game, and they've got to get Zay Flowers and Hunter Long involved in what they're doing offensively.
Their catch made by Travis Levy on the Jonathan Gore kickoff. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, BC head coach Jeff Hafley told me they lost a lot of momentum because their defense couldn't get off the field on third downs. He said Ian Book is keeping their drives alive with his legs. We need to get after their quarterback and force him to play quarterback from the pocket. And his message to his team at the half was, we are crazy if we thought that we would win this game in the first half. This is a game that's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and we still have a lot of game to play.
Phil Jurkovec, the Notre Dame transfer, 8 for 20 for 131 in the first half, and he is sacked by Kurt Heinisch for a 2-yard loss on the first play from scrimmage of the second half.
Two former teammates of Notre Dame look at their numbers from the first half. A much better first 30 minutes for Ian Book. A much better job running the football by Notre Dame. Better balance, like you mentioned. It's a little bit tougher against a quality defense like Notre Dame if they make you one-handed or one-dimensional.
Play action pass, plenty of time for Jurkovec, and he finally finds the tight end Hunter Long for his first catch of the day, his 44th of the season. That leads the nation among tight ends.
He's had openings. I mean, he has found space against this Notre Dame defense. And until now, Jurkovec has just not been able to get him the football, but he's a big target. He runs good routes, and he has very good ball skills. And I would expect them to go to him more and more here in this second half. He and Zay Flowers are their two primary guys to make plays in the passing game.
17-yard gain on the connection to the redshirt junior from Exeter, New Hampshire. Short set that time. Jurkovec, and the pass incomplete. Notre Dame hoping that was a fumble as Drew White knocked it away from Hunter Long.
A really good play by Drew White. Watch number 40, the inside linebacker. Clark Lee said he thought he may have played the best game of his career a week ago against Clemson. That's excellent linebacker coverage on a talented tight end right there to knock the ball out.
He had 9 tackles last week, tied with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the team lead. First rushing play of the game for BC went for 22 yards. They've rushed for 7 yards since. That ball might have been deflected en route. Zay Flowers went diving for it. And now he's favoring his left arm as he gets up.
Looks like his shoulder's really bothering him.
That would be an enormous loss. He can't continue.
He's the only guy that you see matched up one-on-one that actually gives BC a speed advantage and athletic advantage.
Sophomore from Fort Lauderdale. Third down and 10. Travis Levy, the running back. Jurkovec has time. Fires on target. C.J. Lewis, a first down to the Notre Dame 31-yard line. They convert on third down.
Good protection. This is a long developing dig route. Lewis, who still looks like he's kind of favoring that leg, did a nice job getting separation and making the big catch on 3rd and 10. But credit the protection up front. Jurkovec a lot of time to let that one develop.
Flowers right back out there for BC. 28-yard completion to Lewis. Had a career game at Clemson 2 weeks ago when they went down to Death Valley. Tigers then #1. BC had an 18-point lead in that game. Levy got stopped just short of line to make, and that was a very disappointing loss. They wound up losing by 6, a game they felt they should have won, and it certainly gave them the feeling, Todd, they could beat this Notre Dame team.
Yeah, I think they feel different. You know, even then they knew that they were good enough, but there still is maybe a question, were they good enough to beat a Clemson? I think coming out of that, then winning the next week, I think they had a much different mindset that they could line up and play with Notre Dame. And for the most part, they've done that. That turnover right at the end of the half was very costly, but they can erase that with a touchdown on this drive.
This feels like a very important possession in the game. Try to get back and make it a one-score game. David Bailey hasn't been called upon very often today, but he picks up the first down there. Close games for BC. They had to rally late to beat Texas State. Lost by 4 here to Carolina. Won in overtime against Pittsburgh. That was also here. They were ahead 28-10 at Clemson. Really controlled the first half. They didn't do anything on offense in the second half, and it turned out to be the largest come from behind win at home in Clemson history. Levy inside the 15. Taken down by Sean Crawford.
This is what Zay Flowers gives this offense. When he comes in motion, watch the middle linebacker be controlled by him. He's going with Flowers. That opens something up a little bit for Levy. It's not a huge gain, but they respect Zay Flowers and what he means to this offense when he goes in motion like that.
2nd and 7. Jurkovec almost intercepted. Threw it behind his intended target, C.J. Lewis, and Nick McLeod disappointed he couldn't take that away for the Irish.
Threw this one backing up, too. I know there was pressure coming, but I think he could have stepped into the throw a little bit more. Tried to just flick it out there. Didn't have much on it, and actually very lucky that wasn't intercepted because it was behind his intended receiver.
3rd down and 7. From the 15. Notre Dame blitzes. The throw is on target. It'll depend on the spot, and the spot won't be at the line for Zay Flowers. Up short by about a yard, and Jeff Hafley has a decision to make. They blitzed Owusu Koromoa there. Looks like Coach Hafley's going to go for it. I think that's the right play. Field goal, you're still down by 12. Notre Dame's going up and down the field. You need a touchdown.
I think so too.
4th and 1. They're still in the huddle as the play clock goes down to 10. They might wind up with a timeout here unless they really hurry.
Yeah, they've got to call timeout. It's taking too long. They don't have their big back in. David Bailey. Travis Levy was in the game. The quarterback running quarterback sneaks. Been a pretty good option on short yardage for them this year.
It's a long yard though.
Yep.
For BC. Timeout. While we were away, the replay booth took a look at the spot of the last play. They left the ball right where they had marked it. Just shy of the 9. It's 4th down, a long yard. And Boston College is going to go for it early in the 3rd quarter, down 31-16.
Key guys, Flowers here, Long here.
Levy running right, and he does not appear to have gotten there. He didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Myron Tungavailoa Amosa leading the way. A fired up Drew White a part of that as well. Interesting to me, Todd, if you're going to run that kind of play, why wouldn't you put the bigger back Bailey in for that play?
Well, you give a formation that looks like they're going to go pass. Both linebackers fill inside quickly, and that's just good, fundamental, solid run defense by Notre Dame.
The line to gain. It'll be Notre Dame's football. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense number 9. The penalty would force half the distance to the goal. That is number 9's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
This is a run defense in Notre Dame. Dalen Hayes, the guilty party there, that was giving up only 86 yards per game rushing and 2.8 yards per carry. So your percentages going against this run defense, unless you just trick them or fool them, are not really great.
Travis Levy's a little bit under 200 pounds. David Bailey's 236 pounds. Maybe they anticipated it being kind of a quick hitter through the middle, but
I think they thought the formation and not having the big back in, Notre Dame would think pass, and they might be able to slip one in there, but Notre Dame was not fooled at all.
After the penalty, Notre Dame from its own 5, Sebo Flemister is the running back. Tommy Tremble lined up as a fullback. Mr. breaks free. And give him that lunge. He has a first down across the 15. It is 1st and 10. Notre Dame.
Running out of your own end zone, that big offensive line, and that Tremble, the tight end, who lines up at a fullback in their short yardage kind of sets. Coming right downhill at you.
147 combined career starts along that offensive line. And it's Flemister again, sliding to the 19. BC says they have the ball. Sebastian bouncing up and down. A couple of the other Eagles signaling it's their ball, but the officials ruled it down near the 19. Well, the least experience for these offensive linemen as we take a look at the end of the play, see if we can determine if BC has a case here or not.
They're ripping it out, or trying to rip it out, but it looked like the knee was down before Richardson's able to get the ball out.
We'll stick with Flemister. He bounces off some hits. Powerful runner. And a terrific run to get to the 35-yard line. Sebo Flemister, Jr. from Williamson, Georgia.
Well, we normally see him in short yardage and goal line situations. He's the biggest of the three backs, showing you that power here.
Bad effort at tackling by Brandon Sebastian, the cornerback.
You can tell Notre Dame is trying to impose its will right now.
Yep.
Book throws. It's Skowronek again, and now the ball is out. And it is a live ball. That's a fumble, and Boston College has it back. Max Richardson has the football. The only question was it a completed catch before Skowronek lost it?
I think it definitely was. Josh DeBerry, number 21, is the guy who's going to come over and rip it out. I thought he had the catch and was on the ground. If it stands, it's the third takeaway for Boston College in the football game.
And Matt Austin nodding his head at us from his home. There was a catch and a fumble. Skowronek, who's had a career day, first game of his career either at Northwestern or at Notre Dame, where he's had 3 touchdown receptions. That's a costly mistake if it stands, as we anticipate. 8:42 to go, third quarter. Here's a look at the biggest moments of the game, brought to you by Samsung QLED TV.
Well, Ben Skowronek, prior to that last catch and fumble, has had a career night. 3 touchdown catches received from Ian Book. A very nice night. 5 catches altogether, 63 yards to go with those 3 touchdowns.
The last one was confirmed by the replay booth, a fumble after his 5th catch of the game. So it's the 3rd turnover by the Notre Dame offense. They had committed only 5 all season prior to today. The 3 a season high. They committed 2 against Florida State. And Boston College capitalized. Jurkovec throws it right back into the hands of Jack Kaiser. He's stripped. Ball's on the ground, but it looked like Kaiser got it back. Notre Dame football at the Boston College 43.
Kaiser is going to move in motion with the tight end. When the tight end comes in motion, he sits in there, and then he just reads the quarterback and gets right in the throwing lane of the slant. His eyes were on the quarterback the entire time. That's just good fundamental discipline by another linebacker. And Todd McShay talked about the depth of this Notre Dame defense. They play a lot of people up front and at linebacker. Jack Kaiser listed as a number 3 linebacker. Made a beautiful play right there.
Mark Lee calls him the All-American boy. Kaiser is from Indiana. Earlier in the season, when COVID was ravaging their team, they were way short on numbers. Kaiser had to start. He wasn't even listed on their depth chart. earlier in the week, and he wound up having 8 tackles and got their game ball. Here's Chris Tyree.
Yeah, against South Florida.
Against South Florida, they had a 52-0 win in that game. This young man who was a quarterback and a safety in high school. What a performance that was, and that helped him earn more of a spot in this rotation. Second takeaway for the Irish defense. And Jakovic, though he had Hunter Long, the tight end, it was a lot closer to him. He was open. As you said, he tried to hit the player cutting toward the middle. That didn't work out. After a 2-yard gain by Tyree, here he comes again. Showing some burst and bouncing off hits. Tackling not very good for Boston College here in the third quarter. And it's a first down for Notre Dame.
Tommy Tremble's always the rat. And the reason I say that is he's the guy you got to watch out for, because he's going to make that lead block. They love to run behind Tremble, number 24. He is so physical, so tough. He can catch the ball. He's a good athlete, but they love the way that they can move him around and be the lead blocker in so many of their run plays.
Yeah, I think that's why he translates to the next level well, too, is that ability to go in the backfield and be a lead blocker.
13-yard gain, big missed tackle by John Lamont. Here's Sebo Flemister inside the 10, refusing to go down, and he almost got to the end zone. He's at the 1. First and goal, Notre Dame trying to get firm control of this one.
Well, this time Tremble does a good job of distracting Isaiah McDuffie. Watch as Tremble goes out. He's going to kind of pick off the defender, McDuffie. That gives the opening to get the ball to Flemister, and then he has to come in and get a block at the end of the play. I mean, if a play ends without him getting some contact, I don't think he's happy.
Aggressive pylon can. Tremendous effort by Flemister. He remains the tailback. He follows Tremble. And again, poor tackling. And a touchdown. Lamont, once again, hit him behind the line of scrimmage. Did not get him down. Kaiser, the interception. Looked for a while there like Notre Dame was going to let BC hang around after the Skoranek fumble, but the defense got it right back. And the Irish score again.
Yeah, the turnovers, giving it right back to Notre Dame, so costly. You can't give them any help. It was interesting. Brian Kelly said to us, you know, we're not going to Boston College to try to not lose the game. We want to go to try to dominate our opponent. And I think that's what this is starting to feel like. You take those turnovers out, this team is imposing their will, as Todd McShay said.
Second touchdown for Flemister, set up by the pick by Kaiser. Coach Kelly said so often at Notre Dame there's always pressure on you. Don't play with the pressure. Go attack. Back in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Ordinarily the home crowd would be quiet in a situation like this, as Notre Dame has added to its thing, and it is very quiet here. No fans allowed. Cardboard cutouts. Security folks. Donovan Dorr bounces the kickoff down. There's Peter Stair. Nice return. He's corralled along the far sideline by Maris Leothau. There's a flag down.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 17. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Here's the All-State playoff predictor. As we look at Notre Dame's remaining schedule, the All-State playoff predictor gives the Fighting Irish about a 50-50 chance, just under that, to be in the 14 college football playoff semifinals. The only remaining home game in South Bend is the game against Syracuse. They have a 98% chance to win the playoff predictor against the one win Orange. Perhaps a rematch in the ACC title game at Clemson.
Yeah, and I think if that happens and they play well, even if they lose to Clemson and Trevor Lawrence at that point.
Kovic, long pass for Flowers, incomplete. I think they could both get in.
Yeah, I do. I think they both have a good chance to get in at that point.
It's interesting, too, with Alabama and Florida in the SEC. It's kind of a similar situation.
Yeah. except Florida already has a loss, which is different. A little bit different.
Right, but if they beat Bama in the championship,
they win all the way out and win.
Yep.
Yep.
Each has one loss. That would be interesting.
And then, ironically, the team that beat Florida also, Texas A&M, could be on the outside looking at that point too.
Kovic gets away from the rush for a moment, but not completely. And he's dumped for a loss by Howard Cross. He's a backup out of Paramus, New Jersey. His dad, Howard, terrific tight end at Alabama in 13 years with the New York Giants.
Well, again, just depth and fresh legs and collapsing the pocket and no real threat of a running game. They're just able to really get pressure on Bill Jurkovec.
It's like a line shift. They just bring in 7, 8 different guys every third down.
And they're actually playing today without one of their better interior guys. Jason Ademiola is not even here.
That was his twin brother Justin with the original pressure. Flag down. Jurkovec throws another interception to Kyle Hamilton. Well, there is a flag down thrown by the official along the near sideline.
It is so quiet in here.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 52. It's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. It includes an automatic first down.
Bo Bauer called for the penalty that wipes out the interception.
Well, this is a quick call, too. Here's Bauer. He's going to just kind of grab it. Travis Levy coming out of the backfield. Right there. Didn't look like a lot. Good pressure by Dalen Hayes, forced that throw. It was a bad decision to throw the football there by Jurkovec, but he got away with it because of the penalty on Bauer.
It looks like Jurkovec's decision-making has been questionable here in the second half. He handled a high snap. Travis Levy bursts up the middle for about 8. We're ticking down to 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Notre Dame leading 38-16.
Again, this is a Boston College offense that is completely different this year than really it's been for about the last 10 years. I mean, it's been a heavy, run-oriented offense. They were 8th in the country in running the football last year. This year, just completely different way of playing football. And it's taken time.
They're having a hard time getting the running game consistently. Hunter Long found some open space. Gets to the Irish 45 with a BC first down. Run some more under Steve Addazio. Jeff Hafley brought Frank Signetti along with him to be the offensive coordinator. They both have pro backgrounds. They want to play a pro-style offense and be balanced. But the running game has only been there from time to time this year. Put David Bailey in at running back now after the 13-yard completion to Hunter Long. There is Bailey. Well, that's reminiscent of the last decade at BC. Of course, he was the sidekick to A.J. Dillon last year. Went a year early into the NFL.
And here's the difference. I mean, this year they're 39th, 261 yards per game passing. For 10 years, I mean, you never like triple digits, right? I mean, for 10 years they averaged triple digits of pass offense, and unless you're an academy running triple option, you have to throw the football better than that to be successful.
They wanted to play physical, pounded right at you football, and that's what they did. And really with mixed results. Jalen Gill, the intended receiver. Steve Addazio was the head coach here for 7 years. They were exactly 44 and 44 in those 7 years. And haven't you been enormously impressed by Jeff Hafley?
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, he's a very engaging guy. He connects with people right away. I know he connected with us on our Zoom call. You can tell why he relates well to kids, why he would be a great recruiter, all those things. Plus, he's got a pretty brilliant defensive football mind as well.
3.5 to go third quarter. Critical drive for Boston College to get some points. Jurkovec steps into the throw. It's caught by Jalen Gill for a first down to the 24-yard line.
Still a lot of time left in this football game in the third quarter. Good protection, little max protection. Gill does a nice job going to the football, beats McLeod on the play.
That's another thing that Coach Hafley and Coach Signetti talk about for this offensive line. They're so used to for years just coming off the ball and run blocking.
Right.
And not only do they have to pass block, but it's a pro-style passing game. A lot of just straight drop back, which you don't see that much anymore in college football in the RPO era. David Bailey to the 21-yard line.
Yeah, it's mostly, a lot of it is RPO and quick game. You don't have a lot of deeper drop back passes. And you on top of that, so again, like all the new coaches we've seen this year, no spring football, a modified training camp, and you've got a new system for this offensive line. And even though there's 4 starters back, 3 of them are playing different positions than they played last year. So there's a lot of new stuff going on up front for BC.
Talent on that line, but as you say, a number of them playing different positions. Another problem with the snap. Jakovic did well to rescue it. He has a first down.
Did very well.
The good thing he's every bit of 6'5", 226. Isaiah Pryor shoved him out, but it's 1st and 10 at the 12.
We've already seen Lindstrom snap one when the quarterback wasn't ready. That one just almost sailed over the 6'5" quarterback's head.
That's about 2 inches away from being 6 the other way.
Yeah.
Ben Petrula has been the right guard this year, was a tackle last year. Tyler Vrabel, who's the right tackle, was the left tackle last year. Ryan Williamson, the left tackle, was the left guard last year. Levy down near the 5-yard line, pulled down by Isaiah Pryor. Nice drive. They're using a lot of time to do it. We approach a minute and a half to go in the 3rd quarter.
Levy's run the ball well today. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry. Again, this Notre Dame defense coming into the game giving up an average of 2.8 yards per carry. So he's had some effectiveness.
Well, the big run on the first play from scrimmage, the first run, 22-yard gain, helped the average. David Bailey looked like he had a hole to the right.
Yeah, I agree.
Went left and did not get the first down.
The only thing he might have seen is he might have seen Drew White right here coming into the hole. It did look like there was something opening up to the right side, but watch the linebacker plug that side. I think he saw him and went the other direction.
3rd down and 1. You'd have to think again 4-down territory if need be. There's Bailey into the end zone for a touchdown.
Remember when they went for it and they didn't have the big back in and they didn't fool Notre Dame with the formation. That time they showed run, they had the big back in, and he powered it into the end zone.
David Bailey, Jr. from Ridgely, Maryland. He was their number 2 running back last year. When we talk about how run heavy they were, he still ran for 844 yards.
Yeah, as a team, they averaged 253 yards a game, which was good for 8th in the country.
And the extra point good for Aaron Bumeri. So it's back to a 2-score game. A little more than 1 quarter remaining. Later tonight on ABC, 13th ranked Wisconsin, 1-0. They haven't played since October 23rd. They'll be taking on Michigan, 7:30 right here on ABC and the ESPN app. And then tonight on ESPN, Terrence Crawford defends his WBO welterweight belt against Kell Brook. Tonight in the 12-round main event in Las Vegas. Coverage begins at 10 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. Who do you like in that one?
Come on, man.
Shout out a name.
Crawford.
Always go with the chalk, right? Go with the defending champ.
I want to see Graham Mertz, Wisconsin quarterback. What a huge night he had against Illinois a few weeks ago, and he's cleared to play.
Yeah, he was part of that big COVID outbreak at Wisconsin right after that game against Illinois. Finally, they'll get back into action. Chris Tyree bringing the kickoff back for Notre Dame. Across the 30. Graham Mertz did. 20 for 21 and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Pretty nice opening act.
Just wonder how sharp they'll be without all that time. A lot of it just spent in quarantine and not really doing anything. And boy, does Michigan need a win.
Yeah. Well, we've talked to teams all season that had to stop and start for different reasons due to COVID related, and how difficult it is just to get back in that game week preparation and just the urgency of every rep and all those kind of things.
Notre Dame had to do that. They put on the brakes for 2 weeks. They had to postpone their Wake Forest game, which they'll play at the end of the year. Chris Tyree, nice run. John Lamont takes him across the boundary, but it's to the 43 and a first down in the final seconds of the third quarter. The Notre Dame coaches told us that was really like starting all over again. And they're down for 2 weeks. $13 for Tyree, and they won't snap it again. Each team scored a touchdown in the third quarter, so it's still Notre Dame by 15, 38-23. As we head to the fourth, ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and heading for the fourth quarter. This Holy War game between these two great Catholic institutions, Notre Dame and Boston College. Ian Book and the Irish trying to go to 8-0. A little trickery to begin the fourth quarter. Avery Davis with some running room down the far sideline, showing his speed and finally taken out of bounds inside the 30. They're going to mark it at the 28.
Boy, watch Tremble on this one. This is a little different action. He's here. He's going to start in motion this way and then come out to lead the play. Still gets the key block on the perimeter. He's out there with the center. Look at that block on the edge of the defense on DeBerry, and a big play for Avery Davis.
He has become a big playmaker, none bigger than 53-yard catch in the fourth quarter to set up his 4-yard touchdown reception that tied it with 22 seconds to go and forced overtime against Clemson. Chris Tyree ahead for about 3.
You know, the other thing about this Notre Dame offense and the offensive line, which kind of sets the table for everything. I always start paying attention this time of the year, game 7, 8, 9, how healthy those guys up front stay. When you have the same offensive line combination every game for 7, 8 games, that really means a lot for your football team and your cohesiveness.
Here comes Book again, running right through the middle of that BC defense and down near the 10. Sheeta Salah ran him down.
Again, the speed and the acceleration for Ian Book. Once he sees an opening, his ability to get into that open space quickly, I think, is what surprises people.
There's a reason he's won all these games. Yep. I mean, whatever it takes, whether it's taking off and running over defenders, making throws, with pressure on him, he is so impressive to watch in person.
Pitches it back to Tyree. The speedy freshman yanked down at the 5, short of the line to make by a couple. Max Richardson the stop for the Eagles.
And just watching Ian Book on the sideline too, the way he talks to his offensive linemen, the way he talks to everyone on the sideline, he's in complete command of this team.
Yeah, unquestionably the leader. He's proven himself. He's got the full faith and trust of everybody on the team, offense and defense.
And the relationship that he has with Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, I think is a big part of the confidence that he has developed over the past year.
Yeah, no question about that. Again, a guy who played the same position at the same school.
For the corner for Skoranek again, batted away by Josh DeBerry. They're so close, and we talked to Tommy Rees the other day about Ian Book. Ian Book had the big fumble, and their numbers, by the way, are remarkably similar over the career. Rees started 31 games, won 23-8. This is the 31st start for Ian Book, who's passed his coach on a couple lists. But It's late in the third quarter. It looks like he's about to score. Book, he said 100% I thought I was going to score. He fumbles, heading to the end zone with the game tied at 23. They fall behind, and Tommy Rees thought to himself, this can't be Ian Book's place. We have to come back and win this game. And Ian told his coach the other guy, we're not going to come back and win the game. And he was the biggest reason why. He's into the end zone again. Touchdown, Notre Dame on the run for Ian Book.
Just his ability to extend plays. This is good coverage in the secondary by Boston College. They have all the receivers. They got 3 receivers here. They're all going to be covered. So this is good defense, but it's not great discipline on the pass rush. And he sees some opening, and he uses that little burst, that little acceleration to extend the play and get it in the end zone for the touchdown.
Extra point is good. And he has thrown for 3 and now rushed for 1. It is his 14th career rushing touchdown. Tied with Joe Montana and Everett Golson. Tony Rice the all-time mark with 23.
Something to believe. ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Notre Dame hoping to be a part of it. Ranked number 2 in the country behind Alabama. Will not play today. The game at LSU canceled due to COVID. Travis Levy, a fair catch. Ian Book, well, no hangover from that win against Clemson and his brilliant performance from a week ago.
He's just having a brilliant game again today. You know, we talked about how fired up and excited Phil Jurkovec was about playing in this game against his former team. I think that guy there was pretty fired up about this matchup as well. Both those guys are super competitive guys. Both wanted to be the alpha guy in that quarterback room in South Bend. Ian Book became that guy and has played brilliantly today on the road.
Jalen Gill, a nice catch of a low throw on first down for BC for a 4-yard gain. We've talked about Ian Book a lot. Won a lot of games. Vermont was a lot of big games. Played a lot of big, highly ranked teams. Particularly at home during his time there. I mean, he has never lost a home game. Drop ball there by Zay Flowers. Cost Boston College a first down. I think he was originally committed to Washington State. Mike Leach. And Mike Sanford was at Boise State at the time as an assistant coach. He had struck up a conversation with Ian Book. He thought he'd probably stay with Mike Leach at Washington State. But then when Mike Sanford went to Notre Dame, and they continued to recruit Ian Book, it's a whole different story. Man rush. Jurkovec threw it right at Kyle Hamilton.
I just love what Clark Lee is able to do with his 2 best players, Owusu and then Kyle Hamilton. Here's Hamilton right here. Now he's just kind of roaming here, and then he's going to drift in here and read the quarterback, Jurkovec, and go right into where he's anticipating that throw. He read it and almost came away with a pick 6. Again, 14 and 6 on this defense. They're so versatile and so rangy that Clark Lee can do a lot of creative things with both of them.
It's like an Ed Reed play.
Yeah, unbelievable play.
And Carlson punts, just the second punt in this game.
Good Notre Dame player, good decision to pick the ball up.
That's Salerno. No punts by Boston College. Notre Dame has not punted yet in this game. Travis Levy the tackle. 11:36 to go.
College football on ABC is presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits. In part by Pacific Life, more than 150 years strong. Trust in your tomorrow. And Duluth Trading Company, tough and genius workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
Annual tradition here at Boston College, the red bandana game honoring Allison Crowther's son, Wells Crowther, a lacrosse player here at BC, died in 9/11, South Tower, World Trade Center. He kept running back into the building and up the stairs to help others get out of the building. I believe he saved more than a dozen lives through his heroics, people who were injured and needed help. Tebow Clemister runs for about 8. BC wearing those special bandana uniforms. Here's BC grad, former BC cheerleader extraordinaire, Molly McGrath.
I'm at home here on the sideline, Sean, and I had a chance to talk with Allison Crowther. She had so many great stories about Wells. She said that on his graduation day, he said to his parents, "I wish that I could have stayed here for 7 years." They laughed and said, "Well, good luck affording that. That would be pretty expensive." But she said he wanted to be at BC forever, and now he is. He lives on
After
through
the
his
play,
legacy.
unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 20 for taunting. It's a 15-yard penalty. The down counts. It'll be second down.
But when you meet Allison, and you had the privilege of meeting Jeff, his dad, Wells' dad, who passed away in 2019 from cancer, you understand why Wells was the way he was. Just thoroughly warm and wonderful people. A couple of sisters who went here to Boston College as well. What a legacy to leave behind. There's Sheeta Salah, who was born on that day, 9/11/2001. Somerset, New Jersey. That's a part of the New York area that lost so many people in the towers. So many folks from the Jersey suburbs of New York City worked in the financial district. Chris Tyree tackled by Max Roberts. Molly?
Well, Sean, I was saying that Wells Crowther's legacy lives on through all of these student athletes and students at BC, and every incoming freshman learns about Wells during their orientation, and they're given a red bandana to honor him. So that's the first thing people learn about when they come to BC. And Max Richardson said Wells did things that were bigger than himself. It wasn't about saving a person who was black, white, Democrat, Republicans. It was about seeing the value of all human life, and that really resonated with the team, especially this week.
Third down and 15 for Book and the Irish, up by 22. There's more than 10 minutes to go. Ian on target again, and they convert on a completion to Lawrence Keys. And Molly, what did you tell us is the motto here at Boston College of the University?
It is men and women with and for others, and that is exemplified in what Wells did. He gave his life to help save others. So that's what these BC players are striving to do, and what all BC people want to do is work towards helping others in the community.
I think all people should think that way, because to me, the key to real success in life is finding something bigger than yourself to give yourself to. I think that's what life comes down to.
16-yard completion to Keys. Chris Tyree to the right, down to the 41-yard line. Brandon Barlow made the tackle for Boston College. Well, it's a very meaningful tradition. Jeff Hapley trying to familiarize himself with Boston College when he arrived. So that was one of the first things that he learned about. Had his team on 9/11. Watched the documentary that was done about Wells Crowther. Tom Rinaldi, by the way, has written a book about it. If you don't know the story, you should find some of the features that have been done and read the book. Chris Tyree, just a little bit short of the first down.
Now, if you're watching this game, you're a Notre Dame fan, or you have an interest, you might be wondering why Kyron Williams not playing right now. He's not injured. We've been told, and Molly's been told, that it's just a coach's decision to hold him out at this point. They've been going with Tyree and Clemister now here in the second half.
One shot of him where it looked like he might have had some discomfort in his groin, thigh. So I get to see why he's going to push it.
And Notre Dame will get a bye week after this game, and then they will play North Carolina.
The day after Thanksgiving, that'll be a Friday game. What a win for Mac Brown. The Tar Heels slowed down 21 today against Wake Forest and rallied to win a shootout. Tyree the ball carrier again. We tick down to 8 minutes to go.
For Brian Kelly, it just makes sense. You know, Kyron's had 128 carries coming into this game, 13 catches. And your other backs, I mean, against Clemson, Flemister had 1 carry. Tyree had 2 carries. So you just haven't had to lean on them a lot. So give them an opportunity. Make sure that they're ready to play when you need them, and if something happens to Kyron. But ultimately, you're going to need these guys down the stretch.
Brian Kelly let the clock go all the way down to 1. On the play clock, used timeout. Likely to go for it here on 4th and 1. More football to come on ABC. Wisconsin and Michigan for the Big Ten in the Big House. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Right here on ABC in the app. Wisconsin 1-0, Michigan 1-2. Notre Dame lined up to go for it. 4th and 1 at the Boston College 38-yard line. Thibaut Flemister got it with about a yard to spare. John Muse leading the way for the BC defense. It's another facet of the Notre Dame attack this year. They run the ball and they run the clock. Yeah, they lead the ACC in time of possession. They've had 3 games this year where they had the ball for more than 36 minutes. They had it for 41 minutes at Pittsburgh.
Well, they felt like, you know, early in the year they had that part of the team down and that part of the offense down. They could shorten games. They could shorten the possessions an opponent had. They needed to improve their passing game. We saw the beginning of that in the Pittsburgh win. Book threw for over 300 yards, and I just think that they're gaining momentum offensively right now. They're gaining balance. They're gaining momentum. They've got more people that are factors in the offense. And their defense has pretty much been the same all the way through.
I think Avery Davis is a big part of it. They've got so many big guys. We talked about the tight ends, Tommy Tremble, Michael Mayer. You've got the big wide receivers, Ben Skronik. You've got a bunch of guys who are 6'3", 6'4", who can get out and create that size mismatch, but they need speed. And Avery Davis seems to be providing it. He had five catches last week.
Well, the other guy is Lawrence Keys, who's in there now, number 13, but they want to try to get more and more involved in what they're doing as well.
We mentioned earlier that was Flemister again on the carry. Braden Lenzy gives them a lot of speed, a wide receiver. He's been fighting a hamstring all year long. Coach Kelly thinks he'll be back for their next game the day after Thanksgiving at North Carolina. Flemister not getting up. We think back to 2018 when they played Clemson in the national semifinals. It was a rout. We did the game out. It was a competitive game until Julian Love, the corner, went out. Right. And Clemson totally exploited that. But Brian Kelly said, you know, back then our offensive line was very young. Now we're the veterans, and it was Clemson that had the young defensive line. Much more athletic team than they were a couple of years ago. Thibaut Flemister was helped off the field with a left leg injury. Took him right into the medical tent on the Notre Dame sideline. Chris Tyree, the running back for the Irish, at the BC 30. 3rd down and 4, under 6 minutes to go. Notre Dame up by 22. Ian Book trying to throw another touchdown pass. Lawrence Keys couldn't haul that one in.
It's a good throw, but it was good coverage as well. When you run that fade from the inside slot position, you got a lot of room, a lot of field. That's tough coverage. DeBerry's in pretty good shape and knocks that ball away. It's a perfect throw over the outside shoulder, a lot of room to work, but a really nice defensive play by Josh DeBerry.
Could you say progressive pylon camera every now and then? They get mad at me in the truck, and I have to come in, you know, you're talking. Progressive pylon camera. Practice.
Progressive pylon camera.
There you go.
The progressive pylon camera.
Good. See, that makes up for 3 times the incident earlier today. Josh Hoffman. A little upset. The field goal try is no good.
Can we see a replay of that from the progressive pylon camera?
No. It was from 48 yards for Jonathan Dorer.
This is the Goodyear College football ranking.
Well, you're fuego right now.
Not a boy.
Yeah. And it's a little troubling when you look at it. Notre Dame, the only top 5 team playing. Clemson has scheduled day off, but the other 3 teams, Alabama, Ohio State, and Texas A&M, all had the games either postponed or canceled because of COVID concerns. 15 games around the country. You know, it's starting to get to the point, for me at least, I think a lot of college football fans, you wonder when they're going to get through the season.
Well, the next couple weeks are going to be pretty tough. This was the most startling week. I think next week it'll be interesting to see what happens next week.
Djokovic on target to Travis Levy, taken out of bounds by Jack Kaiser. Good throw and catch for 17 yards for Boston College.
One of the teams that we saw that did play today, that we saw last week, Cincinnati, big win against East Carolina. They got a huge game next week against UCF. I think that's one team that could give them some problems. Dylan Gabriel, that offense at UCF, they can move the ball and score on anybody, and that'll be a big game next week in Orlando.
Are you lobbying?
No, I'm just...
Go ahead, Placey, one of our bosses, is here.
I like Cincinnati.
That sounds like a nice warm place for us to go.
I like Luke Fickell.
Just saw Cincinnati. We'd be well prepared. Shea can go.
See, you're lobbying.
Yeah. Well,
see Mom again.
Shea wants to go play golf. We're meeting with the teams. McDonough, McShay, McGrath, and Blackledge.
Doesn't quite fit.
Which one doesn't fit?
That's the old Sesame Street song. These things is not like the other.
Hunter Long, the catch. Good for 21. Isaiah Pryor made the stop. BC quickly on the move. With 5 minutes to go. Djokovic off target. Intended for Jalen Gill. Well, it does seem appropriate with Notre Dame and Boston College together to have McShay, McGrath, McDonough. Line of scrimmage, the 32-yard line. You played in the stadium.
I did. Yeah, 1982 is one of the most memorable games I remember. Our senior year, national championship year. We beat BC 52-17, but Doug Flutie threw for over 500 yards against our defense. Just put on an incredible show. They just couldn't score when they got in the red zone.
Jalen Gill wide open over the middle. That's a big play for Boston College. I wonder how Molly McGrath would have celebrated that. Here's Doug Flutie, you were privileged to play against. Classic.
There you go. That was like yesterday, right?
It was yesterday, right?
Oh, no.
Could you give us
pictures of me?
Do you have a go-to cheer, Molly, that you can share with America? What was your best?
Those were my glory days. I told you I don't do cheers until I have a glass of wine in me, so you're going to have to wait a couple months for that to happen.
Because you were expecting a child, for those who are wondering. There's a long pass. Too far for Zay Flowers.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 99. Half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
Molly has not had the baby yet. I just want any rumors that might have been generated about that was not her child.
No, that was not. You guys could see Molly on the sideline. What are you, 7 months pregnant?
What is even happening? I'm 8 months pregnant, but I run around.
Everyone around. Pretty impressive.
You wouldn't know it.
Djokovic to the end zone. That's a touchdown for BC. Molly's alma mater fighting all the way to the finish. Hunter Long, their outstanding tight end, with an 8-yard score.
Well, it's kind of been slow getting him the football. Here he is right here. He's just going to work across the front edge of the goal line. Again, big target. There's the separation, and he shields the safety away with his body and makes the catch.
I mentioned earlier he leads all tight ends in the country by a comfortable margin in receptions. And for today, that's 47. He was 11th in the nation in receptions among all players. Looked like Notre Dame was offside as BC goes for 2 here. 4:09 to go.
Offside, defense number 91, unabated to the quarterback. Half the distance to the goal, we play the try.
Guess the book must tell them to go for 2. But if you kick the extra point, it's 15. They'll have to go for 2 right here.
Jeff Hackley, he's got to be happy with that drive. You know, when we talked to him yesterday, they talked about part of the culture is just we don't want anybody to play harder than us. People might play as hard as us, but nobody should play harder than us. And when we talked to the Notre Dame coaches, I mean, Brian Kelly all the way down, they said the same thing. When you watch them, they play hard for 4 quarters, and it just kind of is a different feel for them.
Maybe they try him again on short yardage, and this time it works. Quick slice into the end zone for 2. I spoke with Tim Lukable, the defense coordinator for BC yesterday. He said their motto with their team is lead the nation in effort.
Yep. Boy, Houston Griffin, number 3, put a major hit there, but Levy able to get to the end zone. Yeah, and I think just, you know, this was a tall task, a tough order. I think Boston College came out confident, came out believing they could play, and early it was kind of back and forth, very close. Notre Dame proving that they're a little more mature football team right now, a little more talent, a little more depth, and is a championship caliber team. But Boston College is a team that's going to continue to be on the rise and get better.
Hafley's impressive. He really is. Just talking to him yesterday, and it was the first time I've ever had a conversation with him talking about a team, and just his approach, the way he handles himself. They're going to have success here. It's going to take a minute, but they are going to have success. And Brian Kelly has a lot of positive things to say about Hafley and this staff. He said they're going to be tough to deal with today because they're so well coached and they play so hard.
He's ordering up an onside kick here. There's a flag down, probably against Boston College. They recover it, but the whistles are stopping the play.
I think every flag possible is on the field right now.
There are at least 3 that we can see from here.
Tried a little tricky switch of the kickers. I think the first penalty might just be offsides on Boston College. The second onside kick attempt of the ball game for Boston College.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the kicking team. Offside, kicking team number 10, that penalty is declined. Kick catch interference, kicking team number 21. That penalty will be accepted 15 yards from the spot of the foul. First down, Notre Dame.
Well, that's the same penalty that they had earlier, the block before the ball goes 10 yards. Here's the switch. The offsides on number 10, who is Sebastian. He's at the bottom of the screen. And there's the block before the ball went 10 yards. I don't think it was 21's the guy who recovered the football.
I want to bring in Matt Austin. Boston College recovers the kick here, Matt. But Notre Dame is still going to get the ball at the BC 31-yard line?
Yeah, the 2 fouls that he announced was offsides on the kicking team. So no matter what, the play was going to be replayed anyway. But what he called was kick-catching interference. If you kick the ball immediately into the ground and it's one big hop, you still have to give the receiving team the opportunity to catch the ball unmolested. So that's what he called 15 yards from the spot, Notre Dame ball.
From the spot of where Boston College, the ball was first touched?
Where the foul occurred, wherever the contact was that didn't allow the guy to get to the ball.
Chris Tyree, the ball carrier. Now, Matt, are you on the night game here tonight as well, or do you get to go have a nice dinner?
Nope, got one more to go.
Wow. You hear Vern Lundquist giving a shout out today? It was great to see Vern on game day from Augusta National. That was cool in and of itself. What a great idea by our folks at ESPN. Fred Luke, being the great people at Augusta National, allow us to do it. But Matt was the referee in the kick 6. The Auburn-Alabama game where the Alabama field goal came up short. Robin returned it all the way to a touchdown to win the game. Nick Saban's still mad at Matt, we think, for putting 1 second back on the clock.
One of Brown's most memorable games.
Answered prayer. Chris Tyree runs for Notre Dame first down. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, let's go to the Pac-12. Another late comeback by USC. Keaton Slovis to Eric Kromenhoek right there. Down by 3 now, up by 4 against Arizona. The Wildcats have the ball with under 3 minutes to go. It's been a while since we saw Wisconsin and Nikhil Watson getting ready 40 minutes away from kick against Michigan here, primetime on ABC. Back to you.
USC with a late rally to beat Arizona State. Now trying to do it to the other Arizona school, U of A, down in Tucson. Notre Dame dominating the clock again here with the lead. Chris Tyree stopped by Isaiah McDuffie. Here's the hardest working player, brought to you by Duluth Trading Company.
Well, Ian Book, been very good. Ben Skoranek, 3 touchdown catches. Ian Book just doing a little bit of everything with his feet, with his arm, with his head, with his eyes. Has played an outstanding football game back-to-back weeks now, really all season. But last week against Clemson, that epic win at home, the #1 team in the country, and then following it up with another high-level, consistent performance, throwing and running to them.
And mistake-free football. He's on 195 straight passes now without an interception. And that's the second longest streak in Notre Dame history. Brady Quinn, 226. When you started, I wasn't sure which one of those guys was the hardest working player. And I think it should be Ian Book. But for a minute, I thought it was going to be Skoranek. But you seem to know it the entire time.
I had no idea. I was just following. I was just following the highlights.
I thought you just went on with it on the fly and kind of gave it to Book at the very end.
Because I'm a real pro.
You are a real pro. Words of the great Bill Raftery. Chris Tyree taken down by Deion Jones.
And you might wonder, why does Notre Dame still have all their starters in? They've got a bye week next week. They're just finishing off the game. I'm not going to try to do anything flashy or fancy here, running the clock, taking as much time, but allowing these starters to finish the game.
And you don't want to rub it in at the end of the game either. That's part of this rivalry.
Oh, that's right.
Back in 1992 and 93, when these teams played in consecutive years, Notre Dame put it on Boston College in 92. Previously undefeated team. BC went to South Bend. Lost 54-7. And what stood out to the BC folks, this is early third quarter. Notre Dame is ahead 37-0, and Lou Holtz calls for a fake punt. And talking with Tom Coughlin on the phone yesterday, it still didn't sit particularly well with him. He said it was a great motivator for his team. In their off-season workouts, they went back to South Bend the next year to play again, because as Tom Coughlin said, back in those days, Notre Dame wasn't coming to Boston to play Boston College. If we had to play them, we had to go out there. And play them they did. That was one of the great games, certainly the most memorable game in the history of this rivalry, flag down on the field here.
Most points ever scored by Boston College against Notre Dame, right?
Tom Coughlin has won Super Bowls. He said there isn't a day that goes by when somebody doesn't come up to him and talk about that game on November 20th, 1993 at Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame, the week before, had knocked off #1 Florida State in the game of the century. Beat Bobby Bowden's team 31-24. Waiting for them to sort out the flag here. They're talking about it. A well-officiated game by Mike
After the
Roach and his
play,
crew.
unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 4 for contacting an official. By rule, number 4 has been disqualified. Penalty will enforce half the distance to the goal. Includes an automatic first down.
Max Roberts. So a year after that fake punt, which rankled the BC people, they went out to Notre Dame, had a 38-17 lead, lost it, down by 1. David Gordon, as time runs out, a 41-yard field goal to give Coughlin and the Eagles their 8th win. They went to 8-2, and devastating loss for Lou Holtz. When I talked to Coach Coughlin yesterday, he said, I ran into the locker room afterwards, and 15 minutes was just Father Mona and me, the president of Boston College. They celebrated on the field for so long. They were so excited. And this is the recall coaches had. Tom said, I remember Pete Mitchell had 13 catches. Glenn Foley played great. Donald Campbell was awesome. And the most poignant thing that he said, it looked like they're going to go to a victory formation. One of Tom's favorite players he ever coached, Jay McGillis, here at Boston College, defensive back from Brockton, died while he was playing for Tom from cancer. Tom started the J Fund in his memory, and it continues to live on in Jacksonville, where Tom and Judy and their family lives. And Jay's number was 31. He died July of 1992. Tom said, when I saw that we were going to spot that ball for the field goal on the 31-yard line, it was a 41-yard field goal, I knew David Gordon was going to make the kick. And he said it was almost as if Jay steered that, as Tom called it, a screwball through the uprights. And in Jay McGillis' memory, talked about Red Bandana Day. To me, this is similar. Tom Coughlin and his family and an army of volunteers have raised millions and millions of dollars for families fighting cancer in children. So another Holy War game is in the books. This one with no real controversy. And Brian Kelly has now won 100 games as head coach at Notre Dame. Congratulations. His Irish go to 8-0. They won 14 in a row. The nation's longest winning streak back to last year. Our Pacific Life final game summary. Ian Book, Heisman contender. Starting to think about that, shouldn't we?
I think so. I think he should be in that conversation a little bit. Notre Dame 558 yards of total offense. Their defense was suffocating today, really. I mean, I know Boston College ended up with points, 31 points, but Notre Dame with another big win. And really impressive considering all the emotion of last week and all they had to do to kind of get past that and get ready to play again. Other than the turnovers, a pretty outstanding performance on both sides of the ball for Notre Dame.
Ian Book 28-3 as the starting quarterback at Notre Dame. That matches Tony Rice's record. Second best winning percentage of all time for a quarterback behind Johnny Lujack for Notre Dame, the Heisman Trophy winner back in 1947. Here's Molly McGrath.
Coach, congrats on the win. You guys are coming off of the game of the year. What kind of mental toughness did it take to stay in this one and win it?
Yeah, I would question at times whether we had the mental focus. The toughness is there. You know, uneven at times. I thought Book played great. I thought the offense was really good. Showed a physicality, certainly that we wanted to have out there today. But there won't be time that we won't have things to work on next week. We'll have plenty of time to work on ball security, playing the ball in the air. We're a bit tired on defense. You could see that today. It wasn't our best performance defensively, but it's hard to win, and to get the win tonight was great.
It is hard to win, and this was your 100th win with Notre Dame. Congratulations, Coach. What does that mean to you?
I really hadn't thought much about it. It means that in this business, I've had great coaches and great players, and the over-under on that probably in my first year at Notre Dame, I don't think they expected me to make it that long.
You said that you wanted to coach in this game not to lose, but to dominate and get better, to potentially see Clemson again in the ACC championship game. How did your team get one step closer to that?
Well, the good part about it is the quarterback got better over the Clemson game. He played even better in this game. And when your quarterback's hot and he's playing well, that's a really good thing for you.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Congrats on the win. Sean, back to you.
Milestone for Brian Kelly. Only other coaches at Notre Dame to coach 10 seasons or more: Rockne, Parsegian, Leahy, and Holtz. And with a national championship, I think his name would go right onto that list. It's possible they took a step closer, at least to the playoff today. Final score: the Irish 45, the Boston College Eagles 31. For the two Todds and Bolly, our great crew, Sean McDonough saying so long from Boston. Here's Kevin back in the studio.